Hey everybody, Roar the Lions UK, Matt and Ash with other people just joining us now. We're getting set up here for the show, so bear with us for a little bit. Ash, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Just excited to quote Eric from the Detroit Lions breakdown. It's time for the most fun part of the season, the off season.
Yeah, the bit that's not playing football.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so rough, isn't it? But it's probably kind of true. Many thanks at the top of the show to Jeff Hurley coming in with the $10 super sticker. Thank you, Jeff. You're absolute G man. Appreciate that. Dan Campbell's goatee's in the house as well, saying Brad Holmes is the GOAT. We are going to get
100%.
into Brad Holmes very shortly, and I feel like we need to take some accountability, Ash.
Yes, and I will happily do that. I obviously think most people, if you haven't listened to his press conference, don't listen to it just yet. Listen to us, then go listen to the press conference. But there were some comments in there that yes, I need to hold up my hands and say I need to accept being called out a bit by you, Brad. I did believe some things, and then you've proven me wrong, so I can take accountability for my bad takes. But 95% of them are bad takes, so I'm used to taking accountability at this point.
Bobo lands in the chat as well from Melbourne, Florida. Hello, Bobo. And Ellie Soden as well, saying evening,
Hello.
guys. And Joshua Mercer on Twitter as well, saying, hey, everybody. Ant's here too. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm not doing bad. How you doing, guys?
It's been an entertaining hour and a half being a Lions fan. I'll say that.
Oh, more than that for me and living on Twitter, hence his name. I've just noticed it, and I'm like, oh my god, why?
Did Washington
Yeah,
never hear about consent? Because I'm pretty sure consent has been an issue for some time over there.
that's the whole point of it.
Yes, I know.
Apparently, no means no, Washington. Um, at this point, like I said in Discord, Dan Quinn's got to be feeling a bit like Forrest Gump when Jenny finally sleeps with him after sleeping with like 50 other people. Like it's come out that they wanted Ben, and then they wanted the Ravens guy,
Right,
and they got too
McDonald,
much
yeah.
money, and then it's like, oh, actually, you know what? We'll settle with Dan. And they've spent more of this weekend and today slagging off Ben than they have bigging up Dan, and it's like this is major girl who turned you down vibes. So you've got on to your third or fourth best option, and you've settled. They're a pathetic organization. Like new owner, same team, same grift. Screw them.
Have you guys seen the GIF that says "Don't back down, double down"? Because it kind of feels like that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
It is pretty
And, and,
shocking.
and they've just lied through that. It's like, oh, he was asking for too much money. Well, no, actually, he's texted you and said he doesn't want the job. So it
Yeah.
wasn't too much money. Wasn't he
Oh,
was a diva. All those things you said before, it's not that. It's now this. So it's like, you're going to walk back them statements. No,
yeah.
of course you're not.
Oh, yeah. He interviewed so badly. We want a second interview with him.
Exactly. Lying little so-and-sos.
Want to thank Joshua Mercer for cheering with 100 bits on Twitch and says Brad Holmes watching the Pistons GM job open up and says, "Do I have to do everything?" Question mark. Which
He can collect the Infinity Gauntlet of Detroit sports teams.
yeah, he is a special, special dude, and we are going to get into that press conference pretty heavily. I know that
Yes.
Ryan is going to join us at some point, but he's normally a few minutes after go time. So I don't know. Do we hang about or do we go? What
Okay.
do we think?
It's up to you. I was going to say to Anne, since you hate Washington, what would you give them for a scary territory?
Um, hmm. I'd give them a book on good etiquette. That is what I'd start with. That would be my offer to them. How to do things properly. Oh,
Uh,
scary Terry. I'd give them, what do we have? Two-thirds? I'd give them a
yeah.
third for scary Terry.
They'd laugh in your face.
Yeah, and then I'd say, well, that's the best you're getting. Deal with it. We've got your head coach, losers. Like, I've got what you want. You can't have him. So
Yeah, you can have him. So you can have Ben Johnson. We want Scary Terry, and 3 first-round picks, please. What's
Exactly. We'll do that.
What's happened, Ash?
It's a classics thing. Oh, to do with some papyri that were in her the Vesuvius eruption. Totally not stuff just for myself.
Breaking news in the world of history.
Yeah.
Joshua Messer, can we have Deron Payne instead? No. He's totally being added to the deal as well. It's Ben Johnson for Deron Payne, Scary Terry, and 3 first-round picks. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. We're gonna bend them over as far as they've bent Ben over with this negative PR campaign. Like, do unto him, we will do unto you.
No. They're gonna say no, please no, and we're gonna go, that's okay. We respect you more than you respect us. And that is...
It's like the Sean Connery skit off Family Guy, isn't it? See that, lads? 50 no's and a yes means yes. What it's like with Washington.
Oh, geez. How you doing, Ryan? Although you're on mute, so maybe you can't. There we go.
I'm all right, you?
Yeah, good, mate. Have you seen this presser?
Huh?
Have you seen the Brad press conference?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
Fucking quality. I cannot wait.
What jacket's that?
That's who did you play for, Ryan?
Oh, this is from Huddersfield. This is like 7 years old.
You're
trying to make me jealous.
I actually need to throw it away, essentially.
You're trying to make me jealous because I haven't got my club merch yet.
It's like the only hoodie I own. It's too small, so I'm just tight-fisted.
Do you need a hoodie?
I mean,
Ryan, because Ant is perfectly modelling the hoodie at the moment.
I mean, Ryan, you're a man with a partner. You should be lucky you've got any hoodies at all.
Not true.
No, she don't steal clothes. She's not one of those.
No, Sarah's not one of those either. Like I have lots of hoodies and none of them have been nicked. I think she might have worn a hoodie of mine twice in 10 years. Maybe?
You found good ones then.
There we go. Right, should we get this show on the road? Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Royal Alliance UK podcast, episode 254, Accountability. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick, Ryan McCluskey, and Ashley Soden. How you doing, boys?
Doing good.
Ryan's dying. We're starting off the show with a live death today, apparently.
That's better than the Washington PR team.
I'm all right, yeah.
You good, Ant?
I'm not too bad. I've been dealing with a chest infection this week, which is bad, but it's also good that it's come like a week after my ribs healed. Like, as long as the two didn't overlap, I was fine. So I'll take that. I'll take one after the other. But I'm kind of ready to get better fully now. But it's just been such a pain. So I've tried to make myself better by sitting and watching draft tape all day, and that's made me feel better. Like, it's good for my soul.
Michael Lucis is calling the show chest infection, which is good. Ash, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. Instead of the chest for me, it's not the chest, it's the legs. Still aching from my football tryouts on Saturday, but we'll get there. One day you will see me make a pick six, and it'll be a great moment. But then again, you probably also see me get burnt 4 times like Cam Sutter before that. So swings and roundabouts.
And then you'll have more career highlights than Trey Flowers.
Yes. Cross it off the bingo card, guys. I think that's the earliest we've ever got it in.
Christ. Let's get on with the show. And it's going to be a really packed episode. So if you're thinking it's the off-season now, there's not going to be too much to come. How wrong you are, sir or madam. How wrong you are. This is going to be a packed show full of all of the news. And there has been a heck of a lot of it in the last week. Then we're going to have a look at the Super Bowl. Briefly going to talk about those two teams. Of course, we play both of them, so we are very familiar with what's going on there. And then we're going to be talking about the Lions cap situation for 2024, where they are now, the almost certain moves they're going to make, what the draft is going to cost us in terms of cap, all of that sort of stuff, and what holes it leaves us. And then in a future episode, we're going to use that data and we're going to feed that into what we think is going to happen for free agency. So it's all going to be a progression here. And myself and Ant, we've got together, we've decided, roughly speaking, what the show should be between now and the draft. Of course, the draft is only 12 weeks away, which is absolutely nuts. It's not long to go. We're going to have the best coverage, at least this side of the Atlantic, but we're going to have some of the best coverage anywhere for the draft. So you need to come and listen to us the whole time. The College Football Podcast is going to keep going for some time on their own, looking at prospects in a bit more depth and generally, whereas ours is going to look a bit more Lions specific, I know, but it's going to be huge. And College Football Podcast obviously had the Senior Bowl to look at. What's coming up in the next few weeks for you guys?
So it's a review of the 2 All-Star games. So the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl were both last week. So it's kind of reviewing both, which players we thought did well, which didn't, the games themselves. So it's going to be a review of those two. And we're open to requests as well. So if anyone wants us to do anything, let us know. But yeah, review of the All-Star games this week.
Yeah, if you do have any requests, you can find us on our Twitter and just DM us. The DMs are open there. Or you can join us on our Discord channel and just message us directly within the Discord. So the link for that is in the live chat. We're going to have lots of great content about draft stuff. So come and join us there. There's nothing more electric than mock draft season, which has now started. So come and join us. And please don't forget to like the show, like this episode, sub to the podcast, and all of that good stuff. I won't bore you with that now. And with Twitch affiliated YouTube monetized, there's a tip jar down below if you're enjoying what listening to through the show and you want to show some love. That would be much, much appreciated. There's also a feedback form, especially at this time of year. If you've got some suggestions for content, especially coming to the summertime in between, draft and OTAs or after OTAs and before camp, would love to hear from you because we're very open to taking requests, as we say. And the merch store is available too. We had another couple of orders come in. It's been doing really good stuff. I'm going to try and look into doing some new stuff. So if you've got any suggestions for anything that you might like to come on the store, then I'm open to that too, with the links in the live chat right now. News. And not too long after the Super Bowl, after the championship game, and after we did our review of it, Ben Johnson decided that he is going to return to the Detroit Lions, turning down both Washington and Seattle. Both sides have decided that they're going to try and spin this in their own way, having two sides to their story. God knows how it really went down. Bits and pieces are coming out about that. How reliable is it? How biased are people? I'll leave that hanging. But both sides decided to go on separate ways, and both those teams have now made their own hires, which means that Aaron Glenn, boys, is returning now as well. I mean, there's been a lot about Ben Johnson today, boys, and I know that Ant's name, and you guys on the audio show won't have heard this yet, Ant's name pertains to this, so I'm going to go straight to Ant. But Ben and Aaron returning, first of all, is huge for this team, because at the end of the day, even if you don't like Aaron Glenn, a change breeds a lot of learning in camp. Continuity makes a big difference.
Yeah, and it made a thoroughly miserable few days like a lot happier. Because I remember when it broke, it was just before I went on LNU with Mike, and we were both like really depressed when we got on the stream, and then like before we went on the show, we were overjoyed. And it's great news because, for years and years and years, we've been told Detroit is a place no one wants to come, none of the respected coaches, none of the high risers, no one really wants to come here. And in 3 years, we've gone from that to been a place where like highly respected coaching candidates, hot shot coordinators want to stay and finish the job with us. This is 2 years in a row now. Ben could have gone and got the Carolina job last year, gone straight up into head coaching, had a hell of a career trajectory there for him, would have been great. And he made the bet to come back here because he believed in the project. And look what happened. He got to an NFC championship game. His star is even higher this year. And Frank Reich's already been fired from the Panthers. Like, he just had a terrible season. And, like, he's done for. That could have been Ben. And I think he's smart enough to know when the right opportunity is going to come along for him. And he's obviously weighed up his options this time. And he's like, you know what? Staying here another year, trying to get the Lombardi is best for me and my long-term interests. He's not found a head coaching job that interests him as of yet. he's a smart guy. So, I trust him in his evaluation for that. He's got to wait until he's ready. For us, obviously, it's great. He's brought out the best in Jared Goff, the best he's ever played. The offense, it has its down moments at times, but for the last 2 years, it's been one of the best in the league consistently, puts up a ton of points. There's so much development from the guys. Everything sort of grows in regards to that every year. So having him back for the consistency standpoint is huge for us. And we'll give him more weapons, we'll give him more toys to play with, and we'll get more out of him. And for Aaron, it's big for him as well because his ride up has not been as smooth. There's an argument out there that he's not had the talent at his disposal to work with that Ben has, and it's taken longer to see results with him. But we kind of saw at the end of the year his plan come into progress. The defense looked a lot better. The run game's been tremendous this year. It was a big problem 12 months ago. The big glaring hole is in the secondary, and injuries kind of robbed us of having the potential to fully see that this year. No Mosley and no CJ for the most part, just kind of wrecked things, and even then we've still seen guys emerge. We've still seen corner pieces for the future, emerge out of this. So if you go into the offseason now, you give him, maybe even up that discrepancy a little bit, give him his fourth year, fourth year, and then we might see the best iteration of a defense going forward yet. The players love him, and they are getting better when they give him more to work with. So for us, yeah, we're working the same coaching team that's just taken us to a championship game. That's a good thing. That's never, ever, ever a bad thing. Like, Ben's always been good. Aaron's getting better. Let's run it back. Let's see what we can do. Let's try and go all the way this time. But that made my week so much more nicer, knowing they were coming back. And screw the Commanders, because I don't believe you for 1 second anything you're saying about him. You're a dirty, low-life, lying organization that just doesn't know what it's doing right, and it's just shown itself to be very petty, very vindictive, and more bothered trying to slander his name than talking up your next coach. So screw you. We've got the guy. He's ours. You're going to suck.
Maybe the Washington team have a lack of command. Anyway, Ryan, what do you make of it all, man? I mean, Ben's coming back, and there's been a lot of fire this way and that. It's really popping off on social media, but mainly, as Ant's just been alluding to, is being driven by Washington, directly, centrally from their organisation.
I don't think Ben wants to be a head coach. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't get why second interviews are set up, to be honest. I just don't think he's that interested. I think he's wasted his own time, and I feel like they feel like he's wasted their time, to be honest. The whole nitpicking, all that BS, that don't bother me, but no. The more I look at it now, the more he's turned out loads of vacancies. I don't think he's as bothered as people think he is. Like, unless if he's holding out for this stellar job that may never appear, then. But a lot of good jobs have come his way, and he's turned them down. Like, honestly, Seattle would have been a great job. I actually think they've gone with a better hire. I actually think what Mike McDonald's done with the Ravens defense, and they're like the key talent they've got there, I think he would have been a better hire than Ben Johnson. I think they do need a good defensive guy with the talent, so I think that's good. But yeah, I'm happy Ben's returning. I think I'm not that worried about losing, even if he has a good another year. I'm less and less worried about losing him next year. I actually think some teams may look at this, whether they believe it or not. They could be put off by it. He actually may be less desirable next year. And that may be through no fault of his own. That could be because of what Washington's saying. On the flip side, I don't think anyone actually wanted Glenn. I was never worried about Glenn leaving, if I'm honest. And I'm also not really bothered about him staying. Like, the secondary, it blurred. Like I say, for the last 5 games of the year, we were still getting up 350 passing yards, nearly week in, week out, even most of the playoffs. So basically, I'm going to give him a draft talent. I'm going to upgrade him. If we suck for week 1 or week 2 next year, I fire him instantly. He is on the shortest of leashes. I will give him some talent, but I will not make him I will just burden myself with it. Like I say, he is on a hot seat for me. If we go out there and find him a corner upgrade, another defensive lineman to go against Hutch, for me, yeah, he's got a few weeks to prove himself to me. But I get him coming back. Like I say, right now, yeah, we're pretty comfortable. It looks like Hannah's going to stay, I imagine, because like I say, the Patriots OC is the only position left, isn't it? They've
I
filled it.
think so. I think the Bucks have filled theirs, haven't they?
The Bucks have filled theirs, yes. I think that's the only one, and they're like, I can't see him going there. Why on earth would you go there to Matt Jones and Billy's happy because they're dog shit? That would be an awful decision. That would be career suicide to go work in that chaos. But yeah, looks like we're going to retain everyone essentially, unless we lose Randall L. But I'm happy. Looks like 90 to 99% of this staff will be returning. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just give Glenn some talent. If he still struggles, then you can make an executive decision. It's going to be a heavy draft on defense, I imagine.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. Many thanks to Mike the Marine for subscribing at Tier 1. His 11th month says, I like this show a lot. Thanks, Mike. Ash, what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, I'm glad Ben's coming back because we all know I love my offensive plays, and now me and you have finally cracked the code of the tails. It'll probably be gone week 1. We'll probably be back to guessing, but just having that as we'll get into in a bit, what Dan said when he was Brad was asked about it, he said, "Oh yeah, continuity is key," and that's true. Like Ben, for the most part, has had things pumped his way. Maybe, but at the same time, he's elevated talents because obviously Amon Ra wasn't drafted that high. He's turned him to a damn good receiver. Laporta went day 2 for a reason. Yeah, okay, we were higher on him than most, but he turned him into one of the best rookie tight ends ever at a position that is supposed to be impossible to have a really good rookie season in because it's so damn hard. Glenn, for the most part, has done that. Like, okay, he's had Liam sort of grow under him, but yet the secondary hasn't really. Like, we've had some players come in and show glimpses. Amani, not in the last year, but the year before, where he led the league in interceptions and again, good kind of season. Vildor this season. Jeff with his one good game against the Cowboys where he didn't play corner, he played box safety. He can get little bits. We just need consistency for him. And I think the team is recognizing that as well, as we'll get to on in a second with the next bit of news. I think they've brought in a guy that if Glenn does go, we've finally got that option to step in and take that role, and at least until Shep perhaps gets a bit more under his wings and learns a bit more, because if Glenn has to go mid-season, we might be a bit screwed on defense unless, as we'll get to in a sec, this hire becomes official, then we've got a backup plan.
Yeah, there's a question here from Ken that I just want to get to, which, pertains to what Ryan was saying about Ben and not wanting to be a head coach or waiting for the right opportunity. And Ken asks, what team would have the pull to get Ben, in your opinions? And I don't have a good answer because I really thought that job might have been LA.
Yeah.
But I mean,
many holes in LA for me.
Yeah.
I think their offensive line is just not that good. It just hangs Herbert out to every week. I think if Ben's holding out for something that doesn't exist, then he's going to be in a coordinator for a long time. He's going to have to gamble next year. Like I said, for me, he don't want a rookie quarterback, so I probably thought he'd never want Bryce Young, because Bryce Young is just a huge question mark and he's just a disaster waiting to happen. Herbert is the kind of guy, but then you look around him, they're cap strong, like I say, like Bosa and Khalil Mack there in problem. So if he's holding out, I don't know what he wants. You can't find a team with a great offensive line, a top 15 quarterback, and loads of cap, because they're not firing their head coach. So it's going to be one of those funny ones. Like he's going to have to compromise, and I'm not sure what he's willing to compromise on. I get with Washington, he's a bit, I suppose, if he does say the owners, he doesn't trust them because they're new or they're a bit pushy or a bit brash, but they're the kind of vacancies that are going to be open, aren't they? Like, it's one of those things that I don't know. He could have drafted a quarterback, could have gone with Sam Howell, he's an alumni, but no, he's passed on it. So I don't know what he wants or what he's looking for.
I mean, you've got to figure I think he probably likes the structure that's in Detroit in terms of the head coach. They've got a very good owner. They've got a really good GM in terms of draft. You've got the entire structure there in place. I think that's probably something he'd look for. Because, I mean, like, people say the Chargers are a snazzy job, but I mean, they've not exactly been a good organization recently, have they? They've not exactly had much success. During Telesco's time there, and that it was like nothing great happened. And they're always held back. They've got a ton of massive contracts on the books there as well, which are going to hamstring him, especially on defense. So, I think he would want to go to an organization where they are, where they're organized, like where they are, where they've got good leadership structure, good sort of pedestal to put him in place to go on and do something like that. I think that would be where he'd want to go out of all of them.
Okay.
The Chargers are not that. They've just got the shiny quarterback. That's why everyone wants to go there. But,
So, can I put a suggestion out there and see whether... There we go. That's exactly what I was... If Sirianni, because there were rumours he might have been in trouble, that feels like the right organisation with a really good GM, the offensive line, not a rookie quarterback. I think he would do wonders with Hurts.
Andre Swift as well. I'd probably love to coach Swift because he didn't get much opportunity to work with Swift.
No,
He'd probably be gone, to be honest.
I mean, he's a free agent now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And we got a 4th round pick for him, Brad. I don't know how the fuck Brad did that, but he did.
And can you remember those news stories as well? They should have just kept Swift. Why did they draft Gibbs number 12 overall? Basically the same player.
We've now got one of the hottest commodities in the NFL at running back, and you've got a space on your roster. Well done.
Exactly, yeah.
Ryan, there was a question directed at you, by the way. Oh, sorry, you didn't actually answer this. Sorry.
I was going to say, my take in it is, I don't think he's holding out for the right opportunity. It's kind of it's going to have to take the right opportunity to make him want to leave here. Whereas Bam said, head coach who believes in him, GM who believes in him, owner who believes in him so much so that, yes, last year when he turned down what most people saw as his dream job back in his home state, she gave him a pay rise. Like whole staff around him. He's got Hank, who is one of, if not the best offensive line coach in the league. A QB who he knows how to work with and trusts him in his input, but also he knows he can leave alone and will be able to run his offense pretty much perfectly. Great offensive line, great weapons to work with. It's going to take that perfect opportunity for make him want to jump rather than him sitting here spiding his time like, oh yeah, I'm holding out for this list of demands. It's rather he won't be swayed until the right thing comes around. Maybe like Philadelphia, or if I don't want to put this out there, but let's say Andy Reid wins this Super Bowl and the next one, and then he retires. That kind of thing where he's got to have the perfect setup for him to want to jump ship rather than just like, I have this list of demands to meet them, otherwise I'm not going to go. When he's being one of these, to quote, I think it was Ash Thompson on the DLP last week, he's not going to want to be one of these like tier 1, tier 2 jobs where he's not going to get much like rope. He wants to come into situations where he is being trusted to continue this great system. So Philadelphia, obviously, but they've got great offense, maybe some Asian pieces on defense. He might have to work that out. But Kansas have got Mahomes. It's going to be one of those, I think, where it's more he's happy being here. And to be honest, I think he's the inverse in Glenn, as in he's a much better coordinator than he will be of head coach. Because I know it might be some of the slander that Commanders have put out there, but I also back it. He does seem sort of like one of the, like a sort of ivory magician in the ivory tower kind of coordinators, where he's kind of mad scientist, doesn't really interact with the players. Like Glenn's the complete opposite. Maybe the scheme isn't perfect, but he knows how to relate to the players and that make him a much better head coach than he will coordinator. So it might just be one of them where he knows his limitations as well. And he knows being a head coach at the pros isn't going to be for me because I just don't have that personality maybe with all the roster that you need to be head coach, but I'm dadgum at scheming, so I know I'm going to stay here, what I'm good at, not overstretch myself just to try and get my name out there, just keep being a good coordinator, roll the money in that way, because imagine if he does go for head coaching job and it flops and he becomes kind of like a Brian
Adam
Flores
Gase.
things. Yeah, Adam Gase, exactly, something like that, where he just ruins his reputation forever by absolutely fucking the job up. He can become a Hall of Fame coordinator easily if he sticks around and things carry on. So why ruin that?
I think for me, someone said he's on the Sean McVay path of having 3 years as an OC before making the jump. And what links all of the people that you've suggested is that they all basically had 1 year of success and then jumped. Ben has proven over a long period that well, I say long period, 2 and a bit years. But I think that's enough evidence now to say that I think he will be a good head coach. Maybe not necessarily as good as he is an OC. Maybe there's something to what you're saying. But I think he'd back himself if he was going to do the job. But it's the if he's going to do that job. So I agree with you that he doesn't want to go until he wants to go because the opportunity is just right. Ryan, there was a question for you about Aaron Glenn just quickly before we move on. Was saying, how good does the defense have to be in ranking for you to be happy with Aaron Glenn? Because obviously the defense, in terms of total defense, PFF rank, all that sort of stuff, was above average. And so I don't know if for you it's more about ranking or if it's just about the eye test. How do you see Aaron Glenn and what success is?
Rankings are irrelevant. Like, they just don't mean anything. The fact that I need to see him, like, you need to see the visible adjustments. You need to see, like, mixing man and zone, not just sitting and hoping like something happens. Like the team give, like the offense give one of the corners just something to gobble up, like go and get. And primarily, it will be down to the corners, the outside player. They will be the ones that either keep him in a job or they get him fired, and it will be how he lines them up and how disciplined he keeps them. Because there's a mixture of, like, say, he's not put them in positions to win at times. They've also thrown him under the bus. So that is going to be the eye test. Like, if Cam Sutton is cornerback 2 next year, starting week 1, that means we've done something right. That means we've actually addressed the situation, which would be a good start. Whether that's through free agency, which I don't expect it to be, because I don't think a lot of top free agents, corners will hit the market. But for the draft, I think to save his job, I'd be willing to start a rookie like cornerback 1. That's where I'm targeting the draft straight away in round 1. So for me, it will be the eye test. Like, rankings, I don't really look too much into. It will be, let's not make Nick Mullins look like a superstar and let him throw for 400 yards. Yeah, he throws 7 interceptions, but throws for like 800 yards in 2 games because the corners just get burned constantly because he's either got them too far off the line of scrimmage or they're not talking and he's not got them communicating properly. That'll be the kind of thing. So it's going to be a 2-way street.
Yeah.
They're going to have to help each other, but right now, end of the season, any flack there is, it's going to be put on him because consistent stacked weeks of just giving up passing yards for just fun.
Many thanks to Mile Marker for a $20 super chat that says, episode 4, A New Hope, square brackets, year 4 upcoming. I love that. I love that very, very much. Right, next bit of news, moving on, is that the Lions are reportedly signing the Titans' assistant head coach, that was a title added this year, and defensive line coach Terrell Williams to the Lions. The contract is not yet signed, it's just a verbal agreement. His role apparently is going to be the defensive run game coordinator and defensive line coach for the Lions. He was the assistant head coach of the national team at the Super Bowl on behalf of Tennessee. To me, it felt like that it was a verbal agreement so that he wasn't yanked out of that position at the Super Bowl, because if he had signed with us, he would not be allowed to coach at the Senior Bowl. So he apparently said he felt very strongly about seeing out his commitments in terms of that. So I believe that's why that's all happened, but he just hasn't signed yet. Senior Bowl, of course, only finished yesterday. So pretty recently. It's unclear at this time what this means for the incumbent defensive line coach, John Scott Jr. He has only been a year in the job. It's been up and down season for the defensive line. Obviously, Hutch, 100 pressures, one of only 5 people to do that in the PFF era. Ali McNeil has come on strong. Pascal came on strong down the stretch, but some of the other guys had some really poor years, especially some of the more peripheral edge rushers. It could be that he's gone. It could be he transitions. We have no idea yet. Back to Terrell Williams. He has worked with Dan Campbell before. So yet again, another hire that he knows. He worked with Campbell whilst Campbell was the interim head coach in Miami in 2015, and was Brad Holmes' position coach at North Carolina A&T. So he is not young in years, shall we say, because that wasn't that recent. Boys, this kind of came out of nowhere. We know that the scouting team of Brad Holmes puts a lot of stock into what coaches think about players. We always like the Senior Bowl. We didn't have a coach down there, and then suddenly we did have a coach down there. Did it come as a surprise to you? I mean, what do you think this means for John Scott?
He's got to be gone. What could he transition to? Realistically, he was a D-line coach at Penn State. And that's why I was so excited to hire him, because Penn State D-line for last few years has been so good, and this year we've struggled. So for me, I think it's pointless giving him another position. Just cut ties. But the fact that we're losing a young, maybe up and coming coach for a long in the tooth guy. How old is Terrell?
49.
Oh, he's younger than I thought.
Yeah, I looked up and because he would be a bit shocked. Born June 1974. And
I don't want to gush because he hasn't signed yet. He could back out in a week. They could just restructure some. But for me, yeah, we've seen issues with the D line. The whole Bugs debacle, like that, the whole D line, that just really upset. It just kind of soured the room for me. Like I said, the whole thing was just a mess. And I can't put that on John because Bugs just seems like a big fucking whiny baby. So good riddance to him. I was glad, but it just took too long to get rid of him. He was a pain in the ass for too long. And that was annoying. But yeah, guys like Charles and Julian, like, the D-line just kind of sucked opposite Hutch. Interior, like, Hutch has been good. Everyone else, like, just not pulled their weight. And whether that's coaching, whether that's them, I can't really say. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those moves. We'll see if it's a mistake or not in a year, and we'll see if he actually signs. But yeah, I expect some heavy draft capital, probably on the defensive line too, because there's going to be a lot of names leaving. We need to clean house, honestly. Like, I think realistically, they're only keeping Houston, Benito, Aleem, Hutch, Pascal, Levi. Everyone else is probably gone. Like, that's a big overhaul. Have I missed anyone?
Nito is a free agent. I think he's a restricted free agent this offseason, so he's probably gone as well.
Yeah, so you're going to have a big old overhaul. So Terrell's going to have a big job on his hands. But yeah, if he's been at the Senior Bowl, well, at least he's got eyes on the ground. A good start, I suppose.
Yeah, so he's pretty young. So he's pretty much started. He graduated in like 1995, and yeah, he's been coaching from 3 years after that. He's probably a grad assistant guy. He just worked his way up. He's been here, there, and everywhere. He's been Fort Scott, North Carolina A&T for the 3 years. Brad Holmes was there, including time. And I found this out until I was looking it up, including the year 2000, where Brad Holmes was in a coma after a car accident, and he didn't wake up, and he was medically cleared to play in 2001. That's something I found out doing my research. He was there, Youngstown State, Akron, Purdue, Texas A&M. Then he jumped to the pros with Dennis Allen, who's now obviously the New Orleans head coach. He was D-line coach under him. Then he was in Miami, as you said, in 2050 with Phil Bin and Dan and then Gase. Jumped to Tennessee in 2018 with Rabel. And then obviously, as you said, they tacked on the assistant head coach term last year, and now he signed with us. He's been there, and he's had stars pretty much everywhere in terms of the pros. Like, off the top of my head, I can't name anyone from the Raiders D-line, but in that 2014 where he was his last year there, they ranked 8th overall in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per play, and finished second in TFLs. At Miami, obviously, that was when Cam Wake and Sue had really big splashes under him. And then at Tennessee, that first year, 8th overall in yards per game, 3rd in points allowed, 10th on third down percentage, and 2nd best in the red zone. Like, this guy gets the D-line going and he coaches them up. So people probably heard that, okay, yeah, the practices weren't that quick with him, but he focused on techniques. Of the Sweat, who's a guy that people are probably going to be hearing a lot about in the next couple of months. as a potential Lion. He specifically helped coach him up on hand usage and stuff that Sweat wasn't getting taught at Texas. He's a real technician, which perhaps stands up to what we need a bit. Because Scott, I can see him stick around. It might be a thing because looking at Williams, he usually works with 3-4 defenses. He takes over sort of the interior defensive line, while Scott maybe takes over on the edges. I could see something like that working. So then you can both have Hutch and then work with Houston and the Sams as well. That might be a better way that things juggle around. And as soon as we know, obviously, I'll probably put it in the Discord. But he also, as I alluded to, he's got all this experience. If Glenn goes for one reason or another, if he's fired, so it comes up, he's a ready-made defensive coordinator replacement. Yeah, he's never actually physically done it, but he's been here, there, and everywhere. He's got enough experience to maybe be a defensive coordinator for a year, then maybe take a step back to this sort of assistant defensive line role while Shep or someone else takes over the defensive coordinator job. Just gives us another wealth of experience on what's a relatively young defensive coaching staff, because John Scott's second year in the pros, Dre Bly's second year in the pros coming up from UNC. Our safeties coach has only been in the league a couple of years before he became our safeties coach. And then Shep's third year as a pro coach. We need someone who's got that experience like Glenn, like what we had with Todd Wash last year before he went to Carolina, just to be that wealth of experience for these young coaches as well.
And any thoughts on Terrell Williams?
Yeah, well, I'll see what happens. I don't know what's happened with John yet, but yeah, I'm saying he's got good pedigree where he's been. D-line's been good this year, but obviously in the edge department needs to get better. So maybe, hopefully, there's a role for both of them here where they can both have their input into it. Because I actually think he's done a decent job this year in his first year, given everything that's happened. So, he's not had Houston really to work with this year. Obviously, the vets haven't really pulled their weight in that room either. But the run game's been one of the best in the NFL, and it wasn't in the years, but it's shocking how much better it's been this year. So we'll see what's happened with the moving, but experience in the room is good.
All right. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have won Executive and Head Coach of the Year from Sporting News. Sporting News conducted a survey of head coaches and coordinators, I think, around the NFL to vote for Head Coach of the Year, as well as Coordinator of the Year and other awards. And the higher-up executives were allowed to vote for the Exec of the Year. So no outside influences allowed, and the Lions swept the two top awards, which is great news to hear. The Lions have signed 12 players to futures contracts in this last week. They are running backs Jeremiah Jefferson and Jake Funk, wide receivers Tom Kennedy, Maurice Alexander, and Doris Fontaine. Don't actually know how you say Fountain. Thank you.
I believe it's Fountain, yeah.
Offensive lineman Connor Galvin, Matt Farniok, and Michael Nice, not sure. Defensive tackle Chris Smith, defensive end Mitchell Agood, cornerback Craig James, who sounds just like a Radio 1 DJ over here, and safety Brandon Joseph, who, for my money, is maybe the most exciting person on that list. Don't know if you'll agree, but anyway, we move. On to maybe the more exciting part of what's happened in the last week, which is the Brad Holmes press conference. And if you have not listened to it, go and listen to it, because Brad Holmes came out with AK-47s and shots were fired. He began flexing on the journalists immediately. And I mean, I don't know. You could put it on a promo for WWE No Mercy, because he was having it with him. He specifically called out two Lions journalists. You can go and look at who, but for being down on exactly what the Lions did in the drafts and how he was right, basically. He said it wasn't an I told you so, but it very much was. That's how it came across. And he went on later on to explain what that means, because some of the journalists came back and basically said, is this an I told you so? And he explained it, and it was actually a running theme through the whole thing, where he said, the organisation preaches accountability, and we're proud of that fact. I'm accountable for all the picks that I make, for all the moves that I make, and for this organisation as a whole. So, I am going to stand up here and tell you guys if I think I've done wrong. And I'm going to tell you guys if I think I've done right. And everyone else in the room, players included, knows they have to pull their weight, and we will recognise them for doing so, and we will have a go at them if they don't. Which is a great culture thing. You can see exactly where players want to be here comes from. It starts right from Sheila and it goes through Brad all the way down. He then directed that onto the journalists and basically said, you are also accountable for your takes. Now, he also said he doesn't want to do down the entertainment part of what's going on, and he knows that saying that the Lions are shrewd organisers who just make solid picks doesn't generate clicks. So he realises that it's a business. However, he basically said, if you're going to write it, be prepared for me to flex on you when you're wrong, which was just funny. It was really, really funny. Other quotes that he had in there basically said, every move we make and every move we don't make is intentional. They said they make every move or don't make moves specifically for a reason, and we can get into that in a minute. He said there's not going to be many high-priced external additions. I do feel like high-priced and many are doing some heavy lifting, because it still leaves room for there to be some, and expensive, not expensive, what does that mean to you? He also said, we don't want to focus just on one area where there's a need. That's how you get bad. We want to improve everywhere, so don't expect them to just focus on cornerbacks or pass rushing stout interior defensive linemen or wherever you think there's a problem. And finally, two more things. One was, he said, as an organisation, they take pride in talking to everyone about contracts, because there was a question about Jared Goff and re-upping him. He said, we take pride in talking to everyone who is eligible for an extension, which is a really weird turn of phrase if you're not including your third-year rookies, because otherwise it's just people who are out of contract. But eligible for an extension very much invokes the idea that they may be looking to extend Penne, that they may be looking to extend Amon-Ra. Everyone in that first draft is now eligible to get an extension. And finally, Frank Ragnow was mentioned, and pending retirement, Frank Ragnow, potentially. And he basically said, we're going to give him all the room he needs. We're not going to push him to do something that his body can't take. He will decide what he wants to do, and we will respect that. And then went on to basically say the take was, are you looking at centres in the draft? And he said, we'd be stupid not to consider that possibility, but we're going to look everywhere and focus on every position and improve everywhere. So it was a wide-ranging press conference, fellas, that flexed on the journalists, talked about accountability, talked about Frank and free agency and the draft. The final quote, I guess, is it's a meritocratic process. The players know they aren't given anything. You know, the players deserve to be here because they've earned it, and if they don't deserve to be here, they're going to be gone. Ash, I'll come to you first this time. What did you make of the overall press conference? Is there any other thoughts or reactions you have that I maybe have not summarised, or do you feel personally attacked by anything that was said?
I love how you know I was personally, I don't say personally attacked. I was rightfully called out. So I'll happily hold my hands up and defeat. Brad, prove me wrong. I was one of the ones who was calling for a move on the trade deadline. I wanted a corner. I wanted a pass rusher, just something to give our defense a little spark. And I was wrong, and I will happily admit that. But it was just such a damn good press conference. Like, one thing I've taken from it, and it's an overall point, but the confidence Brad seems to have gotten over the past couple of years. Like, I remember his first press conference. He wasn't lacking for confidence then, but the sort of just the assurity he has in himself now in the moves, the fact he can turn around and call out some quite respected journalists in the room and be like, well, you got it wrong. You wanted to draft a quarterback. And it's getting the right kind of looks from the national media as well. So Arif Meriov, who he's quoted a couple of stuff. Some of the people I follow on Twitter just to get their bad takes of how their hands have been saying, yeah, I did a bad, you proved me wrong. It's getting the right kind of message out there, and combined with what we just said with Brent Johnson and getting in the Titans D-line coach, it's shown we are a destination. If you come here and you play well, you're going to get your merits in that. It's another great advert for this organization and for the city. He mentioned how shocked he was when he came here and he fell in love with downtown Detroit. And he thinks not only should it hold, because it was in the question even he was asked about, oh yeah, you excited to hold the draft? He said we should be hosting a Super Bowl. And he's completely right, as we're all going to see in in 12 weeks, as you quite rightly pointed out, we're going to be there experiencing it. He's just, as much as Dan gets all the publicity week after week for epitomising the organisation, so does Brad. And I think today, for quite a lot of, I don't want to say casuals, but the people who don't really pay attention to Brad and what he says and what he does, I think he's really pulled himself even further onto the national stage as one of the premier GMs in the league.
Ryan?
Yeah. I still think, now I've seen it plan out, I still didn't see the point in Donovan Peoples-Jones trade. Even to this day right now, I still didn't see the value in it. Still don't, to be honest. I wouldn't have gone out and gone Chase Young, but still would have liked a corner. As it panned out towards the end of the year, it did show it still was a glaring need. And the articles, like I said, writers, it did say if he was a total whiff for 2.5 years, he was a complete miss because we mismanaged him and used him terribly. Like I say, so they were right to criticise that throughout the last 2.5 years. This, like the back end half of this year, was elite, but before that, it was a total waste because I think we mismanaged him. It was a poor system. So he can say, like, I told you so, but yeah, there was some fair criticism, I think, on that selection, but I don't see many free agent splashes. I think we're going to tie down probably a lot of people. I think we'll probably tie down some people that don't expect. I'd say some of those third-year guys that won't have expected extension. They might want to get ahead of the market. If Mike Evans is going to get 25 to 30 million, they might hand out Amon-Ra deal first just to get in there, just to get a deal that works for him and the team's happy with. So I think a lot of our free cap space could be eaten up by tying guys down. And I'm okay with that. I don't think we'll make too many splashes, but yeah, for me, centre just became a priority. Quite a big priority. I thought before the end of the season that, honestly, I think Frank might consider retirement. I say he's pretty much... I've taken things out of what he said in the last few months about playing through pain and how hard it is, and off-season he's going to just try to get himself right. Didn't say get himself healthy 100% because that's not a thing for him anymore, I don't feel like. But yeah, we've got to think about replacing him sooner rather than later. He wouldn't just do it out of thin air and leave the team up shit creek, but let's not get too close to, oh God, we need a centre. Oh God, we can't find one. So yeah, that's quite important for me now. But yeah, I pretty much agreed with most things he said. Yeah, he definitely had right to push back at some critics. I say, I don't mind receipt keeping. I do it myself. I say, I'm not often wrong. But I say, I can be argumentative. But I don't say stuff and I never back down from it. I always say it with my chest. And he did too. And I like that. And the fact that Dan and Brad won awards from other coaches and executives, they mean the most. They're the only people's opinion that really matters in football. The players, they all just vote for their friends in most things anyway. I don't trust their opinion. I don't trust writers' opinions. But coaches and GMs and assistants, their word holds a lot. It's worth its weight in gold. That's fair. But yeah, I think this off-season will be interesting. Like I say, he's saying like he won't address just certain areas, even if he thinks they need work. Go broad. We'll see how broad he wants to go, how much he's going to move around. But yeah, I think we're in a very good position. I think a lot of the guys that are due extensions, even if they could basically ask for the world, I don't think they would, because they know later down the line that will hurt the team. And if we have to backload some of this stuff, that's fine. If the window's opening, let's backdate stuff. Penny's always about to be the highest paid offensive tackle in the league. I'm pretty sure there's no two ways around that. How high we're going to see, but yeah, I'd rather get these things done sooner rather than later. I'd like to know what we've got to work with before, like, as free agency starting. So if that means Jared, Amon-Ra, and Penny all get extended within the next 8 to 10 weeks, that's fine by me. They've all paid their dues and they've all earned what they get their bread. So, like, switch the ones on. I don't really care what Goff gets. I'm not going to really bat an eyelid or quarrel about 500,000, 750,000. Like, just give him it. He's earned it. If the contract's there, guys like Jonah, yeah, I'm probably going to be a little bit tougher on, a bit stricter on, but I'd like to think they can get something done with him. Like I say, I don't think it's a priority. The offer's been there, apparently. Let him test the market and come back. I'm not going to chase him. I'm not going to ask him. I'll wait for him to come back to the team, like I say, there. Let him do his due diligence. But yeah, other free agents, Garner Johnson, like, we'll see what he wants to do. Like, they'll probably sit down and have a word like, what would you want? What will we give you? So yeah, there's some interesting conversation to be had, I think, in the next month or two.
And what did you make of it all?
I mean, like, Brad's verging on like man crush territory for me now. Like, there's just something about Brad when he speaks, the way he talks, that is just like you can't do nothing but love him. And like I said on Twitter, I don't want to live in a universe where he's not GM of this organization. Like, considering the crap we've had to put up with for decades and decades and decades, like, to have this guy at the helm now is just so refreshing. I mean, bringing out the receipts on everybody as someone, and I am completely anti-positional value when it comes to my draft beliefs, and that to have someone like Brad who just comes out and basically tells everyone who thinks the same about positional value to go themselves, like, just brings a smile to my face. Draft good football players. Good football players, great football players are worth first round pick. It doesn't matter where they play on the field. It matters that they're great football players. And for him to hold people to account like that, I love it, because name me one GM in the entire NFL who's got the hit rate in drafts he has over the last 3 years. There is not one. And if I'm gonna do the research, I would like to garner a guess that there's one who's not really particularly close. I mean, a few out, given how many picks you have in that span, but he's proven that he's a great talent evaluator. Ever since his days back with the Rams, he's proven that he is a great talent evaluator, and he goes about it the right way. Doesn't matter where they play. Like you said, he doesn't draft for need. He drafts for the player. Like last year when we took Jameer, we just got Monty. Like, we didn't need Jameer, really, in the grand scheme of things. If you draft him for need at the top, he was like, right at the bottom of that list. But he goes, no, we're going to go and get him, and we're going to make our team even better. And we had the best 1-2 punch in the league this year. Like, that makes your team better, and that's how he goes about his business. And I think he's got every right to rub it in people's faces. He's hot shit, and he knows he is. I don't mind that kind of brashness from a GM every now and then. He's very reserved for the most part, but going to come out and do that, that's absolutely great. And I just love his plan for us in general. Like you said, there might be no big splashes there, but we have a lot of commitments coming up to our own, and he keeps going on again and again and again and again. You draft, you develop, you pay. That's how you build your culture. You bring your guys in, you develop them up, and you give them their just desserts at the end. You don't just let them go. So it is our year now where we're going to have to start paying people. He is going to have to operate a little differently. People expecting big, massive splashes will be disappointed, but we're going to be making big, massive splashes on our own. Like, we're not bringing in expensive crap from outside like we saw under Quinn, which burdened us for years. We're going to be paying studs on our team who are our players. There's a big world of difference between that. And if that's the route we're going to go, we're going to go through the draft again. We've got 4 picks in the top 100. Like, I trust him to go out and get some more great players, and we're going to look better for it this time next year. So, like, I just love his plan for us, and I just love listening to him speak. And I fully and implicitly trust him in what he's doing here. So, and people around the league, like I said, he's got his awards. People know how good he is. And I think he's going to revolutionize the way a lot of GMs think. I think a lot of GMs are going to take a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror and go, actually, you know what? We need more me players here. And it works because he's aligned with Dan as well. Like, those two are picture perfect in what they want in football players. And when you're aligned that closely with your head coach and you can settle on them, then you know you're going to have a roster full of studs who you can work with and who are going to break the back for you. So I keep doing this method. In 3 years from having nothing, we're nearly there. So keep the process, keep trusting it. Don't try and hop skip it. Don't try and take a shortcut to the end. Because like he says, that's where you'll come undone. So just carry on doing what you're doing. That's great. And then for Frank, he's not going to see out his contract here. I think we pretty much know he's got 3 years left at this point. Oh, he's only 27. He's got three. He's contracted to 2026. So he got 24, 25, 26.
Oh, okay.
So he's only just completed the second year of his 5-year deal. They only signed it in
my bad. Yeah.
So you've got 3 years left on his deal. Yeah, I think at least you will get one more year out of him. He's got a long off season now. You think, the toe injury is irreparable, but everything else is fixable. So you'd think if he'd got some time away, he's able to get himself in shape. And what you will probably look at doing this year, if the board falls in your favor, because with Brad, looking at offense, Brad will pick great football players wherever they're found. We won't know what position. He'll pick great football players, like positions. We've no idea what he's going to do. If there's a guy there who fits their bill, who you can train long-term to replace him, because we don't really have a backup center on the roster at the minute, that would be smart business to get one now and begin the long-term process so that if in a year or two he does retire, you're covered. And, so I would expect them to maybe go down that route, but I don't think Frank's done just yet. He's a hard ass, and he's not going to have gone through the Patricia years, through the early years of this regime, through all the crap, just to get to this point now where they're nearly there. And though, you know what, actually, guys, I'm out. Like, he's not going to have gone through all that adversity to give up just as he's about to have his greatest success, hopefully. So I see him coming back and giving it at least one more try to see if we can get the Lombardi and we can hoist it up for him, which will be absolutely great. So it's concerning, but Frank's a tough SOB. Like, he's the toughest guy out there. He'll be back.
For myself, just quickly on draft value, I think Brad Holmes does believe in positional value. It's just that he doesn't believe in your positional value and the positional value argument. So what I mean by that is, if you have a look at the best teams around the NFL, they all have a game-breaking tight end. All of them. Baltimore, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce at the Chiefs, George Kittle at San Francisco. They all have that guy. Tight end's such an important position. It's just there's so few elite guys that the hit rate's really low, and that's why the positional value is low, is because it's a position where you're going to draft someone. And we know this very well. You think you're getting the absolute world by drafting a guy in the first round, and then it falls flat. So sometimes, you just have to bink one, but we absolutely have. Most of them have one, if not two, exceptionally good linebackers. Linebacker, really low value position, but there's like 5 to 10 guys in the entire NFL who are really very good. Fred Warner obviously being one of them. One got 2 first-round picks traded for him to go to Baltimore. There are some guys who are just game-changing people, and so taking a swing at that position absolutely makes sense. And all of the final 4 have exceptionally good running games. So running back is clearly part of that answer. So it's not that he doesn't consider positional value at all. It's more that he identified where he thinks people win in January, and he picks those positions specifically because it was something where he saw a need in us, even if we didn't see a need for it ourselves. His positional value is different to yours. It's not that he doesn't believe in it. It's just different. That's how I see it anyway. Let's move on to the Super Bowl fairly briefly, because we've talked about both of these teams, and let's face it, ugh. And then we'll move on to the 2024 draft cap position for the Detroit Lions. So the betting for the Super Bowl, San Francisco are favourites. Why? 13.
What? They're the world's biggest underdogs, don't you know? It's the greatest Cinderella story of all time.
13-10 on San Francisco. That is plus 140, plus 130. No, sorry, that's minus 130. Kansas City 11-10. That is plus 110. San Francisco are 2-point favourites on the spread. Over under is 47.5. In terms of depth charts, I've got them up. I can't be asked to retread them. We both know who plays for these teams and the game-breaking people they have on either side. We also know how well each team played in the playoff run coming up to this, boys. So some high-level thoughts about this game. Who do you expect to win? What do you think are going to be the decisive factors? How are you expecting it to go? And I'll come straight back to you first, mate. What do you think is going to happen with this?
You know what? For the first time in a very long time, I have no inclination to stop up and watch the Super Bowl. I just feel like I'm going to sleep through it and watch it in the morning. I don't know if I can do it, but it's hard to look past the Chiefs again for this. Like, the team, it's just built to win. Like, it's been on the road to Buffalo, it's been on the road to Baltimore, and, these teams that are meant to be the next big things, and Kansas is meant to be having a down year. It's not going to be its strongest roster. It's not got the receivers. It's got drop issues. It's got yada, 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 all this stuff wrong with it. And they just churn out wins because they've been there. They've done that. They know what they're doing. The 49ers they've lived a very charmed life in the playoffs. They should have lost to the Packers. They should have lost to us. And, it's kind of, I think it's the inexperience of our, because us and the Packers are incredibly young teams. Like, I think it's come down to inexperience there where we've let the games slip away from us. And we've been exposed sort of in that regards. Kansas are not that. Kansas are multi-time Super Bowl winners over the last few years with a ton of vets on the team. And they've got the dark power, which is Taylor Swift behind them. That dark magic that is going to decide what goes on. You can't beat that. It's going to be the thing here. She's coming all the way back from Japan to see Travis. It's going to be a big thing. They're going to hug and embrace. You know what it's going to be. Like, the script has been written for this one. I don't see the 49ers doing anything. But no, been serious. The Chiefs are the ones who've been there and then done that. And the results they've had in the playoffs, I think it's them. I just can't see anyone beating them. They're big game. They're a big game team. Big game teams win the Super Bowl.
Ryan?
There's a lot of things I'd like to happen. I'd like both teams to lose. I'd like Taylor Swift's plane to get delayed by a storm so she don't make it. I'd like Brittany Mahomes to get escorted by security because I can't stand the gobby cow. Don't want to see her on screen. But what will happen is the Chiefs will win. Mahomes will absolutely knife them. Kelsey will just go ham. And Brock Purdy will flounder. He will shrivel up like a shrinking violet. Like I say, he'll be too big for him. Mahomes, I like CMC. I'd like him to win for him. I think he'll do pretty well. But Pacheco is just a fluke, a draft fluke. They just took us. They just took a swing on him, and he has been just nothing but fantastic for his time there. And I think he will be the game factor. I think he'll break off a couple of big runs. I think he'll score at least one touchdown. He's just so shifty. I think he will be the factor. I think he'll have a huge day. Like I said, we started running the ball strong, and I think they can do that too. It's just how long they keep going in. But yeah, I think the Chiefs will win comfortably. I hope they do. I just can't see past them. Mahomes is just, he will just come alive. He will just think of the legacy of 3 wins in 6 years. Basically already a Hall of Famer. Just his own inflated ego, the size of his head just getting bigger and bigger and swelling higher. It'll keep him up at night. He will do it. Andy Reid will win and will retire. I think if they win, I think this is Andy Reid's last game. I think he walks away if they win. That's my hot take. Yeah. I'm going to watch it. I don't care who wins. Like I say, it feels hollow. But it'll be a really good game.
I'm going to watch it with an old colleague of mine. We've paid £25 a ticket to watch it in a sports bar, but I've been there each of the last 5 non-COVID seasons. And it's like going to watch a game in London or going to a bar before a game in London, in that you've got like 250 people all supporting different teams with their jerseys out there, all getting really loud for it. And it's almost pantomime-esque in terms of, I don't know, when there's a sexy woman who's doing the halftime show, everyone's like, way, and then they show the male rapper and they're like, boo. Like, it's kind of funny, and everyone just gets super drunk. I've got the night off work. I'm basically going to sob all my way through it as I'm like, this could have been us. And I will make my peace with this season after. During this game, I'm going to eat everything, all the wings. All the wings will be consumed, and all the drink will be consumed as well. And then
I will not be watching the halftime show because I don't give a fuck about Usher.
Yeah.
I reckon
Yeah.
stinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy is.
Yeah.
What retirement home did they pull him out of?
Well, it's
Like,
Vegas. He's done a Vegas residency for like 2.5 years. Like, he's getting paid
like
the world.
Barry Manilow and those idiots with the Tigers. That's where you go to die. Is a Las Vegas residency. Like,
yeah,
ugh.
Fair. On to the game itself, and the only way I can pitch this is if what.
You didn't ask Ash.
I have been setting up since Ant spoke a great joke that no one will get, but it's fine.
Go on then.
Of course, Ant is going to pick out a key factor from someone whose fifth ever single was called "Should Have Said No." But yeah, to say so. For me, I have said my personal feelings about who I want to win the game many times. I want the 49ers to win because I have personal hatred in my own personal life against the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes in particular. So please, 49ers win so I don't have to hate that. But I know the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. And it comes down to one thing. I'm the special teams guru. The Chiefs have a way better kicker. Harrison Butker is 10 times the kicker that Jake Moody is. And if it comes down to a field goal, I'm trusting Chiefs way more than I'm trusting the 49ers. So it's going to be painful. I'm probably still going to stay up and watch. I'm going to decide if I'm going to watch it by myself or if I'm going to go to a place and watch it. Really depends how I feel, probably closer to the time. If I can afford to stock up the 50 quid to go to the place that's been suggested to me.
Could you imagine could you imagine if Ryan's scenario happens? The Chiefs win, Reed retires, and then we lose Ben Johnson just after we think we've got him back.
No. The heir incarnate for Kansas City is ready and waiting. The enemy's not coming back to Washington. It's all setting up nicely for him to finally get a head coaching job.
Just quickly, so I have my quick say on the game before we descend into other chat. The way that I'm pitching this is it's the league's best offensive scheme in the Shanahan system, which I just feel is the best iteration of anything that we've seen in the NFL because it wins any way it wants to, versus the best playoff head coach of all time in Andy Reid. Like, when it gets into January, he's exceptionally good. You have a look at what they did to what I think is the league's best team this year in Baltimore. They 17-10. I don't think they conceded a point in the second half, or they conceded 3 in the second half, or whatever it was. Like, it was a clinic of how to play against one of the most awkward teams to play against in the NFL. The way that they adjust to teams in January is fantastic. Unfortunately for San Francisco, the way they adjust to teams in January is they don't and just hope for the best. And they came up against the Packers, who actually adjusted to what they do. They came up against the Lions, who adjusted to what they do. And they fucking struggled. Like, the 49ers have limped into this. And Kansas City have something that the Packers don't have and the Lions don't have right now, which is killer instinct in this scenario because they've been there and done that, as Ant has said. I think defensively they're going to stifle them. I really think that Kansas City are just going to absolutely hammer them. I am going to be wagering fairly heavily on this too. I expect a 3-score victory for Kansas City. I think it will be at least 17 points. I don't know about the rest.
Super Bowl MVP, Drew Tranquil. An interception, a sack, and a forced fumble. You heard it here. He has been one of the best free agents of the whole season.
He's been fantastic. Any of you guys have any other takes about the score or MVP or anything like that?
I won't call after this to get multiple sacks, just so I can go back and dig up some of my views there and about him, because he's been really good. I'd still have loved him here, but hey ho, it is what it is.
All right, Ash, anything MVP?
See, if I know I said it's reeking very much of my prediction before the NFC Championship game, because it's basically the same plan we're discussing. if the Niners win, the Super Bowl MVP will be CMC. It's the only way I can see him winning.
Yep.
Is if he gets going in both the pass and run game. But even then, it'll probably, if they do win, it'll probably go to Purdy because we all know what the Super Bowl MVP votes like. He always goes to the quarterback.
I'd say that'd be the first time in a long time that had not happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, let's.
What if the Chiefs just give Chris Jones a rushing touchdown just to finish Ash's season off? We do that. There you go. He's done. He's done for.
You just know how to push his buttons, and right. Let's move on to the cap situation for the Lions. Now, the best two reference points, as we know, for cap is over the cap and spot track. They have differing numbers depending on various factors and things that they track. So sometimes it's not the easiest thing to know what's going on here. So, for example, and I haven't actually researched why this is the case. On over the cap, the Lions have 50 players total, and they have cap space of $47.7 million for 2024. According to SpotTrack, they have 50 players, but their estimated cap space is $61.1 million, which is a difference of $13.5 million. Ash, you might have the answer.
Yes, I believe it's because over the cap, I know that supposedly, I think SpotTrack only tracks the top 51, while over the cap takes into account everyone that's on the roster, including future rookie picks, all of their contracts. And I think over the cap also incorporates, and it's going very deep into it, and soon I probably will have to ask Erica for a breakdown of, but the whole bonuses. I think over the cap says all the bonuses count, and then they discard it if they don't earn them, while for the spot track takes the likely to be earned, not likely to be earned moniker, and only counts the likely to be earned according to any contract. So, for example, the famous one is from last season with Khalif. He got an extra, I think it was 50k, and he got an escalator in his contract because he made it all pros a punt returner. Over the cap automatically counted that in his contract. Spot track only counted it when it actually happened, for example. I believe that's the rough breakdown of it.
Okay.
So I looked into it because I was confused as well.
Right. That makes sense. So, some highlights from the roster at the moment. The number one guy per cap hit is Jared Goff, 32.3 million. I'm going off over the caps numbers now, just to be clear. Number two is Taylor Decker, 19.1. Tracy Walker is third, 12.8. Frank Ragnow, 12.8. Cam Sutton, 12.7. Aiden Hutchinson, 9.7. Sewell, 7.7. And so only 7.4. That's everyone above $7 million in terms of cap hit. But obviously the team is working with a fair amount of space, boys. But there are a lot of people either up for renewal, or there's a fair amount of players who could be extended preemptively ahead of that deal finishing. So obviously Jared Goff is a consideration here, but also Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, as we talked about before. I'm just going to recap the free agents that we have, just so you know what holes we might potentially have to fill for this. Obviously, we've got only 3 spaces on the 53, but we can go to 90 and then cut down to that. In terms of free agents, Teddy Bridgewater is retiring and Nate Sudfeld is a free agent. There's a couple of backup quarterback positions. Josh Reynolds and Donovan Peoples-Jones, both active wide receivers, come to the end of the year, one more so than another. Tight end 2 at the end of the year, Anthony Ferkser is a free agent. Offensive lineman, Wise Down Skipper, Matt Nelson, Jonah Jackson, Graham Glasgow, and Halapulavasi Vaitai all filled a role at some point in their Lions career, some more than others. And then on defense, the recent acquisition, Tyson Alualu, Romeo Okwara and Charles Harris in the edge room, linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin, cornerbacks Emmanuel Mosley and Kindle Vildor, DBs Will Harris and CJ Gardner-Johnson, kicker Michael Badgley, long snapper Jake McQuaid. They're all your unrestricted free agents. Restricted free agents, David Blau, quarterback, running back Mo Ibrahim, fullback Jason Kabinda, tight end, no?
They're street free agents, so they're
right.
people who are on our practice squad, but because we didn't give them a futures contract, they're now eligible to sign for any team right now, rather than the UFAs that have to wait for the start of free agency.
Yes, absolutely. I misread when it said SFA. For some reason, I read RFA. Thank you. Yep, so these guys are entirely free to sign with the team straight away. Zaka, it's Michael Schofield, the offensive lineman, and edge Julian Quara. Now the restricted free agents, so we can tender these guys. The restricted free agency tender, I'll get into that in a second. Tight end Brock Wright, defensive tackle Benito Jones, linebacker Anthony Pittman, cornerbacks Jerry Jacobs and Khalil Dorsey, and long snapper Scott Daly. And then the exclusive rights free agents. These are guys who, for a minimum value deal, if we tender them, must accept or sit out the season. So they do not have an option to sign anywhere else. Running back Craig Reynolds and Donovan Knight, tight end Shane Zylstra, guard Coyote Awasika, edge James Houston, and nickelback Chase Lucas. So, boys, there's a lot of people who are free agents on this team and some notable gaps in the roster, never mind talking about re-signing some of our own guys. So, are there any kind of obvious moves you're seeing from the our free agent market?
Cut Tracy Walker.
Okay.
Tracy Walker's a goner. He's got to be. He just don't serve a purpose that outweighs saving, what, $8 million, something like that? That's a big chunk of change for a guy that no longer has a starting role on this team.
Save 5.5.
Yep, that's fine. He's gone. Honestly, those names you just read out to me, wow, there's a lot of guys there I see no interest in bringing back. That is only a few of them stand out. Glasgow, but I actually think he's going to be too expensive. I'm pretty sure he told ESPN that he wants to return, but he's going to get some good offers.
Okay,
it's not the best way.
No, so maybe let me go through some of those names in terms of the free agents we have and whether we want to sign them, and if we do, what value they could come back for. And then I'll come to our own guys and see whether we want to extend any of them, and then we'll have our cap position. All right, so first on the list then, Jonah Jackson. Do we actually end up re-signing him?
No.
I think we do. Definitely we do.
I'm aligned.
I'd like to, but I think he goes elsewhere.
I think he wants to be here, but I don't think he wants to be here at the value we want to sign him at. And that's an impasse that I just don't know if we cover, even though the difference between him being fully healthy on the line and not is massive. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. And I know that you're a big proponent of re-signing him. Do you think we can get it done?
I think it can be done. I think there's a world where it happens. I just think the world has to wait until he tries free agency. And, I'm not going to begrudge him I'd not begrudge any player trying free agency to see what they can get on the open market. So let him have a look, see what he likes, see what he wants with the team. But I think they will. I think we will end up bringing him back. Because, again, the whole ethos of this team is to draft, develop, pay, and providing it's not, they won't overpay him. I'm never gonna go in with an assumption that they're going to overpay somebody. They're just not going to do that. They know the value. They'll give you your value. If you don't want it, take a hike. So they'll have given him his value. I think we can do a deal with him. I think he likes it here. I think he's on part of a really good offensive line. He gets a chance to shine, and he's got a good chance of a Lombardi here as well. So we'll see whether he's about the money or the play, but I think there is a world where he ends up here, and I would like to see him back. Outside of this year, he's been very rarely injured, and he's always played well for us. And like with quarterback, you can soon regress on the offensive line. I tend to like to keep the good guys around whilst I can, so I hope so.
I hope so as well. I agree with you. If we do, he comes back on a team-friendly deal, frankly. Lisa says, Jonah wants top 5 money. I don't see it happening. He's already turned down a top 10 offer, Anthony. I mean, reportedly so, but obviously we don't know the full ins and outs of what's going on there either, so it's hard to judge.
Is Jonah the only serious candidate for the tag?
The franchise tag for Jonah Jackson is $21.7 million.
He gets an offensive lineman tag.
Who was the last player we did tag?
It's a trivia question.
That's got to be a long time on it.
Ooh.
I mean, we didn't even tag Sue.
No.
Yeah, and again, this stuff with Jonah, I'm not gonna deal in here saying crap until beforehand.
Sure.
I'm just not gonna turn on every single guy here Like, it was the same with Kenny. I know Kenny did turn an offer down, but I understood why Kenny turned an offer down. It's the same. I'm not going to blackmark a guy because he turns down a contract here. This is a business. Teams treat players like business. Players have the right to do the same. At the end of the day, if he comes back and plays well, I don't care. So I'm not going to blacklist him for that.
So the Lions have only used the franchise tag 5 times in team history since it was introduced in 1993. Lomas Brown in 1995, Robert Porcher in 2000, Corey Redding in 2007, 2012 Cliff Averill, and then 2018 Ziggy Ansah.
Oh, yeah. Good shout. Okay, so I think the three of us believe that Jonah Jackson will not happen. So for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to say he's not coming back. Josh Reynolds.
I'm not. I'll make him an offer. I'd like to keep him here.
I think
1 year wide receiver 4-5 money.
I'd give him 1 year. Yeah.
What's he on at the minute?
I think he was on a 2
We gave him a
year.
2-year deal, didn't we?
I think he was on 2 years 8.
Give me one
That
second.
looks.
Ah.
That sounds
Give him a
about
year and
ballpark.
1 year, 3.5.
It
Losing incentive.
See, I think the thing is, Raymond under contract next year?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
Raymond is he's got 2. Oh yeah, he's got 1 more. He's under contract next year.
He's
for
on the cap for 3.25 million.
Yeah, the thing is, I do want new blood in the receiver room, but I don't want to, if Raymond and him are both here, that kind of makes it a little less likely.
They do different roles.
Yeah,
though,
they're
so
very. So
it's different.
No, I just mean in terms of fleshing out the wide receiver roster. Like,
True, yeah.
for I'd want new blood in terms of someone of Reynolds' build.
So Reynolds was 2 years 6.
Yeah.
So
I could see 1 year 3, 1 year 3.5.
Yeah.
And then, but here's the thing. I think I've just realised it because I've just looked. I'm actually siding now not because we drafted his replacement last year.
Antoine Green?
I could see them giving him a chance.
Well,
in camp, sure.
Yeah.
So again, like Brad mentioned this, all the receipts he was getting about people being called busts and that. There's a reason you grade a draft class after three years. Like, because I know if he's only had like half a good season because of what got on, but after 3 years, he's now a starter on your roster and he's a cornerstone going forward. So successful draft pick. Doesn't matter about the last 2.5 years with Green, with Broderick, with guys like that. It doesn't matter if they've not seen the field yet. I don't care 2 hoots. As long as they're there after 3 years and are contributing to this team, then it has been a success. So, Antoine is still around. Like, he's not shown a penchant for not cutting his 7th round picks. And like, they're kind of the only guys who were gotten rid of in the system by Brad at the minute. And even now, Jamar's still clinging on. Like, he's still here.
Yeah.
So he will get his opportunity eventually. He has some time on the field and got some throws. So this is why you've developed Green, like, to come in and fill these depth spots out. And, Randall L has shown great, skill to getting these guys up and ready. Some just going to take time. Like 7th round pick, it's going to take time.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But I will say, and I mean, it depends what stock you put in stuff like over the cap valuations, but I do think it highlights the difference between contract value and what his production is perceived as in terms of monetary value and the difference between those two things. He was on the cap for 4 million last year, Reynolds, because it went 2-4, 1 year, 2 year. His OTC valuation for last year's production was $9.25 million. And if you think about what actually happened this season, okay, outside of one bad game, happened to be the most important one, but never mind. He had 19 games where he was, if it wasn't Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta getting it, he was making some big catches in some big positions. I think they're going to prioritise Josh Reynolds. And a lot of people reacted to him dropping some balls in the NFC Championship game and are saying get rid, because if you can't do it then we can't trust you in that spot 12 months from now. But without those catches, maybe we don't get there. Everyone was saying about, the decision made by Dan Campbell and, whether you should go for it on fourth down and whatever. And it's like, okay, but without him doing that, maybe we don't get there at all. And the same is true for Josh. Like, if you want to go on sample size, his year was very good, especially considering where we thought he would be at the start of the season. So if we can bring him back on the same AAV for 1 year, I think they jump it, frankly.
But Brad, the one thing I took away from what he talked about earlier is don't expect to understand the process now.
Sure.
Like, you're gonna understand it. And he made it very much sound like there were going to be unpopular decisions made, like that would not be understood now, whether it be not spending in free agency, whether it be letting players they like go, etc. Like, I think those are the big calls you've got to make. Because we might not have got there without him, but he's been to big games twice now and ballsed up twice. Like, you've got to make some punishing decisions about these guys, whether they can do it when it really matters. So, like, you've got to, and he keeps saying, you keep getting better. This is a business. You've got to keep getting better. So I think some of these fan favourite types are for the chop.
Could well be true. And I think maybe we can get more into what we think the roster is going to be, especially come the summer and the cut down from 90 to 53. And I think now I should say probably for this exercise and with the idea of maybe getting this show in under 2.5 hours, I think we can probably say, and with the audience that we have and that we've built, and they know who we are, that if we say not coming back, that the standard kind of stuff that we might say of, oh, but if there's a team for any deal this and whatever, like all of those prerequisites for what we're saying with all these picks are already inserted into everyone we say. And just for the purpose of the exercise of trying to figure out where we are for cap, let's just make some lightning decisions on what you think the most likely thing is going to happen. Or maybe I pitch you a deal and you can counter and we decide on what we're going to do from there. Just to kind of get this going, because we've got quite a few decisions to get through. And we could be here all night if we debate them as hotly as we have done with Jonas. So, Jonah and Josh Reynolds. So, Josh Reynolds, $3 million deal. Do you think that happens?
Yes, I'd bring him back on that.
Okay, all right. In terms of the actual structure of it, I have no idea. So, I will just put his base salary at $3 million and we'll get on with life. Will Harris.
Yes.
No.
Wait, what?
Me? No. No, I'm no.
Will Harris.
I will.
You think he'll be back?
Yeah.
No.
Even me, his staunchest defender, doesn't think he's going to be back.
That's completely here. He's not gonna get a better offer anywhere else. He's coming back.
This is the reason I say he's not coming back. He had chances to play. Instead we brought in Kindle Vildor to play over him. The only reason he came back is because he had that lovely cap exemption that basically meant he could be on a cheaper deal than what he was getting paid. So we did him for that. He's not coming. I don't think he's coming back because that's over now. We're going to move. You said they need a secondary, needs a revamp. Why not start with the only guy in the secondary that I was defending properly that everyone else hated? We need to upgrade on him.
There is a Qantas Stiggers-sized hole in the Canadian Football League that he can go and fill.
Exactly.
Bye, Will. See you north of the border.
Yeah, I'm with Will Harris not coming back, but I can see the route for it, as Ryan is saying. If they offer him a vet minimum deal, I can see them doing that. I mean, they were glowing on him in terms of the utility he provides and the backup he provides, and it's not like he was inactive at any point during the season.
He had 12 snaps after the bye, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's when we've been absolutely bereft of corners. That's when Vildor got off his sofa and decided to come and play with us and play at a high level. Like, he doesn't even have a justifiable case for backup anymore. All right. That's gone.
Let's move on from Will Harris. 3 no's and a yes is no. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
No.
No for me as well.
Only for camp.
See, I'm intrigued. Like, I would be intrigued about bringing DPJ back.
I'd bring him back for vet min, but I don't know whether the team...
We're not allowed to do that. Your ground rules said we're not allowed
all right, okay, he's not coming...
We've got to say yes or no. I said yes.
I'm meant to be pitching to you so that then it's an odd number for people to get a decision either way. Okay, Vetmin deal for DPJ, yes, no?
Yes.
No.
Yes, for Camp. I'll let him battle it out on Vetman.
All right, coming back for Vetmin, 1.125 million for DPJ. Jerry Jacobs, restricted free agent. Restricted free agent tender, first round 6.5 million, second round 4.6 million. Right of first refusal tender, $2.8 million, or you can just extend at a lower level. I will pitch him at a right of first refusal tender, 2.8 million. Yes, no.
I would give him a right of refusal first tender.
Right.
I'd offer him it, but I don't think he'll take it. I think he tested the market. I think he needs to change the scenery.
I'm putting him in at the right of first refusal tender, but there we go. I think with the restricted free agent, I think he has to accept the tender. I don't think he gets an option.
If this player, this is because I'm using Eric's article that we're obviously using. If these players are offered a tender by the Lions, the player can accept the 1-year deal, or they can negotiate a contract with another team during the free agency period. Suppose an agreement with another organisation is reached. In that case, the Lions have the option to match the offer or allow the player to sign elsewhere and receive the appropriate compensation for the tender.
Yeah.
So
if it's first, second, or right of first refusal is no compensation, or first or second round pick in those tender positions. Yes.
Yes.
So right of first refusal is coming back at 2.8, and then he's open to signing a deal elsewhere. So he still tests the market in that scenario. I think that makes sense either way. Kindle Vildor, unrestricted free agent. I'm going to pitch this at 1.5 million.
I'd bring him back.
Yes.
For that, probably, yeah.
So he's eligible for $1.125 million, 1.125 million. So I'm bringing him back for 1.5. I think that represents really good value, actually, for him. Tyson Alualu, 37 years old, unrestricted free agent.
No.
Vetmin.
Even then.
No.
Just brought in as a stabilising force while Liam's here. He's unfortunately gone.
Yeah, we're going to get Jose Newton in the draft, and this won't matter. That's what we're
right now. I think I think he comes back if he's offered that.
2 no's, 1 yes is a no. Brock Wright, restricted free agent, 26 years old. Same tenders, 6.4 for first, 4.6 for second, 2.8 for restricted, or you can extend him at a cheaper level. I am putting this less than the tender. I'm going to say Brock Wright would potentially accept 1.5 million.
I think they'd love to do a deal with him.
Oh, yeah.
Bang the table.
I'll take him at the 2.2, the REFA.
My flag just fell for the first time in months. Right. Okay. I'll go up. I'll go up to 2. I'll go up to 2. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, unrestricted free agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's more than
yes.
I am going to pitch Jalen Reeves-Maybin at $3.5 million.
Yes.
I think he gets multiple years.
Yeah, give him more years and less per year.
2 years, 6.5.
2 6 is fine.
2 years, 5 million.
He's on more than that now.
Yeah, but he loves
2 years,
Detroit.
7 million.
No,
I think
2 6. 2 6 is very generous.
I'm setting it at 2 6.5.
Yep.
Correct.
The only reason being, Ant, is that I just feel like he's performed so well on the contract that he's had. I think he'll ask for more, and I don't think he'll accept less. He's already left once on the basis of money.
Exactly. So you should be like, well, you can go out and get your money again and be left to flounder on a team,
he's
or you can
realised
come
he's
here
made
and be
the
part
wrong.
of a team. We've given him a second chance. Like, he chased the money, and then we took him back, and we've given him an opportunity. He owes this team a lot. So I don't think he's in a position to be there demanding big sums of money. If he is, then he can walk again.
I've brought him back for 2 years, 6.5, because I've got 2 other yeses. So
that's fine. You can guarantee some of it and some incentives and that. That's fine.
Ferkser, unrestricted free agent, 29 years old.
No, bye.
No.
Oh, got a no without even tendering him. All right, cool. Matt Nelson, unrestricted free agent.
Bye.
He's gone.
Cheerio.
Benito Jones, restricted free agent. I'm pitching this at 1 year, 1.6 million.
Yes.
For his dress attire alone, yes.
True, yeah. I've got to factor that in. If I'm allowed to have germ, then Ant's allowed to have
We've got to factor in how well the man dappers up.
Exactly.
Jake McQuaid. I'm pitching this at vet min.
Long snappers is your forte, so we'll
We'll defer to
leave this. We'll defer to Matt on long snapper issues.
I think he's brought in for camp, and I think he loses to Scott Daly. I think Scott Daly was a
Yeah.
better long snapper, but for the purposes of the exercise, I think he would be signed ahead of camp.
I'd bring them both back.
Yeah.
Need continuity of a snapper.
1.21 million. That is Dan Skipper, unrestricted free agent, 30 years old. Pitching this again at vet
You
minimum.
know what? I love Dan.
No.
I Dan's wormed his way in there. Like, yeah,
He's a cult hero at this point.
yeah.
What? Yeah. So the unrestricted free agent amount. The cap minimum for him is 1.125 million. So that's the deal. Yes, no.
Yes.
He comes back then. Coyote Awasika, exclusive rights free agent. The tender is 985 grand. If you sign him for that, he can't say no. There is no option.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
we're going to need him.
Yeah. Craig Reynolds is in the same boat, same amount of money, 985 grand.
No.
Yes.
I think he gets brought in at least for camp. Craig Reynolds.
I want running back in the draft.
Well, I do too, but even if we do exclusive rights free agent, I think you can cut and they don't get any money. So it's a no risk.
Still no.
It's a no risk signing.
Still no.
Yes.
Yeah,
special
on
teams.
paper, yeah.
Yeah. Special teams.
Yeah, there's that too.
Special teams decides to bottom of the roster.
Scott Daly, restricted free agent, pitching this at vet minimum.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got to have a battle.
1.05 million coming back. Shane Zylstra, exclusive rights, 985 grand.
No.
It's the camp, yes.
I mean, how healthy is he? Like, that's got to be the first thing.
True, yeah.
You need to see his medicals before you make a decision on
I
that.
think he had a similar injury to Dre Trav and Zinter, so he'll probably be just about getting fit for camp, I think. 'Cause he suffered it at the end of camp, didn't he? So he'll definitely be fit probably for the start of training camp.
I think he comes back, at least for camp. And if he's medically not there, you cut him for free.
If he's one of the names on our practice squad next year, I would not be surprised.
I agree with that
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
exactly. Yeah, there you go.
But this is
100%.
about getting to 90 because they're only going to count the top 51 anyway at the moment. So signing him. Michael Badgley, unrestricted free agent.
Now I'm drafting a guy.
Right. Bam Knight, exclusive rights free agent, 985 grand. I would say he's a camp
Yes.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
My God,
Yeah,
yeah.
camp body
He's a
easily.
squad candidate.
James Houston, and can I say this from the rafters? Exclusive rights free agent. Doesn't have any choice in the matter, 985 grand.
Yeah.
Yes. Let him work on the run defense and coverage.
Are we going to re-sign James Houston, they say on Twitter? Of course we are. He's got no choice. 985 grand. Anthony Pittman, restricted free agent. I'm going to Pitch this at 2.5 million, just under the restricted free agent tender.
No.
That'll be a no then. Khalil Dorsey, restricted free agent. I'm going to pitch this at 1.5 million, just above the...
No,
minimum.
not if we're keeping Vildor and Jerry. No.
Yes, because Vildor doesn't do gunner duties and Dorsey does, and he's our backup kick and punt returner. Again, special team decides the bottom of the roster, and on a 90 camp.
I would be with Ash, but I don't count, and we're overruled by the other two, so he is not coming back. Nate Sudfeld, unrestricted free agent.
Bye.
Does he still exist?
He was seen
He's-
quite recently in the Lions
Yeah.
facility, but yeah. Chase Lucas, exclusive rights free agent. Again, can cut him with no penalty if you do it. 985 grand.
Yes,
No.
special teams again. I know he fucked
You
up
give
in
him a
the
go.
game.
Give him a go. Let him battle it out.
I agree with you guys. Coming back 985 grand. Right, that is all of our free agents. Now let's go through the team and see if we can find some cuts or some extensions. So, Jared Goff on the cap for $32.3 million in his final year. Does he get extended?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Extend. What are we doing with his deal?
in an ideal world, you add 2 years on to the year he's already got,
Yeah.
and you make it 3.
Okay.
And I think you add
45 million per.
2 years,
I'd say near.
$2.5 million.
I'd put him up near a 50. I'd put him
Same.
up at something like
I give him 2 years,
47 and a
95
half.
million.
95 mil.
Two-
Ash, Ryan's saying.
Yeah,
And you're saying
yeah,
about
for
that?
2 years. For 2 years extra, in addition to what he's already got. And then that's 3 years that you've got him under 4 there.
95 million. Okay, so for prorated bonus. Oh, why can't I change that? Okay, I'm just going to have to do the salary numbers to make this work. Okay, so 95 million. Should I just do a straight 47 and a half each year?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just keep him on his current deal for next year.
So it doesn't actually affect our cap at all this year, but that's at least done. Taylor Decker saved $9.8 million with a cut, 19.1 million on the cap. Resign, extend, leave as is.
Leave.
Leave it.
Leave it now. Yeah.
Tracy Walker, 12.8 million on the cap, saved 5.5 million with a cut.
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 See ya.
Sorry, Tracy.
I love him, but he was inactive for the last 4 games of the year. I think he's
It's
expecting to be cut.
12 million's too much money for a safety we're not using. Like, it's just wait. 5.5. That is good money there to be able to give to somebody else. If he's there, Kirby's there. You got these guys there now.
Yeah. Frank Ragnow, I think we can skip over. We've discussed him. He may not even see out the current deal, so there's no value there in changing any of that. Cam Sutton, 12.7 million on the cap. You lose 5 million on the cap if you cut him. So you actually eat more money by cutting him. I don't think there's any options here. There's no options here, is there?
Just leave him.
Just leave
You
him.
ride him. You replace him. You bump him down to cornerback 2.
Yeah.
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 Just draft the new guys this year and then build them up for when he's due to leave.
Aiden Hutchinson, there's no option yet. He can't be extended. Penny Sewell on the cap for 7.7 million. I would suggest here that they follow the Frank Ragnow route and they take the 5th-year option. At the end of year 4, they sign him to an extension which includes a 5th-year option as part of the deal. So I don't think we need to do anything with him at the moment. That is my
You've got to
suggestion.
invoke the 5th year this year, though, don't you?
Invoke the 5th year this year, re-sign him next year ahead of the 5th-year option, but include the 5th year in the deal. Because Frank played out his 5th-year option because the deal then was effective after the contract finished.
Is that what Packers are doing with Jordan Love?
No.
They
They already
extended
signed
him,
him
didn't
to
they?
a deal, yeah. They
I mean,
declined
with-
the option. And then,
I think with Penny, you've got to get the deal done sooner rather than later. Even if it is a delayed introduction, I think
Oh,
I think
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think the deal's done this off-season.
Okay.
I do. Like, he's had 3 terrific years. I think they'll do it because I think they'll want to reward their cornerstones. Like, he's a guy you've got to have here for his entire career.
Yeah.
So
I
you've got to
agree
make
with
him
that.
feel like that as well. So
I'm not...
yeah,
For the sake
Yeah.
of the sake of the cap
For
likely
next
not
year.
changing this year,
Yeah,
I'm just going to
no,
leave it.
Yeah, not changing this year, but he'll get his deal this year.
Alex Anzalone, 7.4 million, save 850 grand with a cut.
No.
Leave.
Leave him.
David Montgomery, 6.8 million, save 400 grand with a cut.
Leave him.
Don't touch.
John Kaminsky, 6.3 million against the cap, save 4.6 million with a cut. And I think this is...
I'm tempted to ask him to take a pay cut or restructure.
I think he's played well enough that the team are going to say you've earned it, but the amount of money to save is so high that...
See,
I
the
don't know.
fact that you've got such...
Replace him. Like, if you cut him, you're cutting your nose to spite your face, aren't
Yeah.
you?
I think the fact that you've got the longevity with the deal here and we're in a favourable situation puts him in favour for a restructure. Like, you cut his cap this year, and even if you do move a bit, put a bit of money down the line, it's still not going to cost you much like next year to cut him either. So I think they might restructure that just to free up a bit of money.
I
where
actually
I feel like they'll
can't
go with him.
restructure on over the cap, whereas you can with spot tracks.
Spot
And
track, yeah.
the next time with spot track,
We'll leave him then.
leave him for now.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams, there's nothing to be done. Jameer Gibbs, nothing to be done. Jack Fox on the cap for $4 million, and you lose $658,000 if you cut him. So obviously he's staying
When does his
around.
contract expire? How long has he got left?
I think he's got another 2 years.
2 years, I think. Yeah.
He
Staying
took him
next year, then.
is
We
under
took him for
contract.
3 last year, didn't we?
Yeah, he's under contract until the end of 2026.
Oh,
That's
that's
Okay,
yeah, another 3
so
seasons.
Halapoulivarti Vaitai is on here because his deal had a void year on it and it just hasn't voided this time, so I'm putting him down as a cut because he's not going to be on the roster. Romeo Acquara is the same, 3.5 million, so he is gone as well. Jack Campbell, there's nothing to do with him. Khalif Raymond on the cap for 3.25 million. You lose 2.8 million with a cut. I think that's because there's a void year on there, so this is his last year. There's 2.8 million dead next year.
Yeah.
Would you want to do anything with that, like extend?
No,
Just
I'm not
don't
gonna
touch.
extend him.
I would leave it as well. Levi Onwuzurike, 2.6 million on the cap. Save 1.77 million with a cut.
I'd feel really bad cutting him, but it's a big figure, and the D line, well, frankly, is barren. I'll leave him. I'll give him a shot this year.
Wow.
I think you ride out his rookie deal because it's not offensive to the cap, and at worst, you're giving him a shot to work his rookie deal.
This is basically his first actual season of football.
Yeah, like when he's not going to have anything hanging
Just
over
like
him.
the
And
pick,
that.
and I never liked him, but yeah, I'll give him a go.
He's always had his issues, but this year, hopefully, it's just a fresh start. So let him ride his rookie deal out.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I was just shocked by Ryan's take because he's been so down on Levi. But people surprise you. Anyway, Sam Laporta, Josh Pascal, no action to be taken. CJ GJ has 2 million dead. I'm setting him as a cut. Do you want to bring him back?
No.
In fact, I didn't even ask whether you wanted to bring Romeo back, but I'm
No.
assuming not.
I love the guy, but no. If you go on Twitter and Instagram, like you said, the whole bring back Garner Johnson debate, oof, I just stay out of that. 'Cause you get
Same,
attacked
yeah.
if you say no.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not bringing him back at any level.
Charles
Like,
Harris has
No.
2 million dead on there. I'm not bringing him back.
Oof, no.
Inactive for a reason. Bye.
Brian Branch, can't do anything with him. Aleem McNeil is eligible for an extension. Going into the final year of his deal, he is on the cap for $1.6 million.
Extend.
I think he's
Extend.
getting extended.
I'm paying Aleem a lot of money.
Are you replacing the current year? Are you tacking it onto the end?
Oh, you let him see out his rookie deal and then tack on.
Yeah.
Like
Tack on 2 or
Aleem's
3 years. tie it
Aleem's a
down.
long-term player here, so it doesn't. You're not really rushing with house money or anything with it. Let him serve his rookie deal and then give him his just rewards after. Because, like, yeah, if he has a superstar year this year, like if he proper breaks out this year, his price tag's going to go through the absolute roof. I think at this point now you're going to get really good value with him, but I would still pay him a lot of money.
Since it's not going to affect the cap this year, I'm just going to leave him for now for the sake of time. Graham Glasgow, are you bringing him back?
Yes.
I'm going to...
If it's not too high.
Pitch us a contract.
Yeah.
Okay, so Graham's
I love
current
him.
deal was 1 year with a void year, $4.15 million. That was the current deal.
So
I am pitching.
Go on.
I think you're going to have to give him $7-8 million a year. Maybe
I
two-
could live with
2
7.
I was about to say
I
7.
could live with 7.
So I was going
No,
to
we're both
I was
that.
going to pitch
2
7.
years, 14.
No, not at his age. I'd give him 1 year deals.
I was going to pitch you 7.5, so I feel good at Ant's figure being slightly below that as being the sort of right figure. Because, with respect, I think, Ant, you're slightly more conservative on your cap numbers than most people, I would say.
I give him that. I don't know if he'll take it, but I'll offer him it. I think it's in his best interest.
Yeah.
to take it.
I'm not paying more than that. If not, then I go through the draft and I get a guy. It's like
You could start, like say, Vitaly gone. It's his job if he wants it.
yeah. So he'll get a good year start, and he's on a contending team as well. So got to take that into account. And we gave him another opportunity. He was out in the wilderness before he came back here. So
Okay, I've extended him. Ifasi Melifonwu is also eligible for an extension. He's on the cap for 1.4 million.
you know what,
No,
Weefy, I'll wait till his
it's
deal's
tight.
done.
Yeah.
I wait as well.
You've got to see another year of steady. You've got to see a year of steady production.
Yeah. Exactly.
Risk overpaying him a bit next year. then at least you got your final visual on him.
There might be quite a lot here where I'm just saying, actually, there's nothing more we can do because we're going to tack it onto the end of the deal. But there's one guy coming up. I'm not sure that applies to. Right, Kirby Joseph on for 1.4 million. You can't do anything there because it's only his second year gone. Hendon Hooker, first year gone, 1.3 million. He is, can't do anything with that. Amon Ra St. Brown, who is on less money than Hendon Hooker, which is interesting.
Give him his bag.
1.25 million. Do you re-sign him effective this year? Or do you tack
You've got to. You
to.
can't tack all these deals on. If you tack all these deals on, then the price in 2025 is going to be fucking astronomical. Like, you've got to stagger these out, which is why we've got a fair good amount of cap this year. But that cap's going to be there to absorb some of these bigger deals to start off with. I think in Amon-Ra's case, being he's only got 4 years, is his last year next year, you wrap him up right now.
Right.
The draft a lot of contracts are going to get handed out next year, receiver.
You want that contract out before Justin Jefferson gets paid. Because if Justin Jefferson gets paid, Amon-Ra's bill goes up further.
CD Lamb, guys like that, they're going to probably command a huge price.
Yeah.
So pay him from now.
Brad's got to be diligent with this and do it quickly.
Okay.
I think you announced this before anybody else.
Yeah.
Let me pitch to you the contract that I have for him.
Go on.
4 years, $106 million, $60 million guaranteed. That 26 and a half. 26 and a half.
Oh, 26 and a half, yeah, sorry.
That is what I think you'll get. And I think that's very high, but if you have a look at him, he's been a top 3 wide receiver in PFF grade in 2 straight years.
For us, he's invaluable. Like, he's completely invaluable. You can't put a price on that.
In terms of the negotiation, he has all the leverage.
You know, I would maybe go longer. I would put 5 years in there and I would bring it maybe down a little bit. Like, try and get it down to 24 million over 5 years, something like that. Give him that enticement to stay and give him the longevity of the contract as well. I'd give him 5 years.
Okay, so
5 years.
5 years, 15
mil.
120. That puts it 24 a year.
I'll give him 22 and a half a year for 5 years. I think that's 115.
That's 110.
I think he
110 million, 5 years is my offer.
I think he would reject it.
Possibly. I think if you put high guarantees in there, you don't.
Okay.
I would be putting very high guarantees in his deal.
All right. Let's go all the way in. Let's go all the way in on this. You can have the previous deal I offered, 4 years, 106, 60 mil guaranteed. Or you can have 5 years, $110 million. So only $4 million more for an extra year. Fully guaranteed.
Oh, give me 4 years.
I mean, the thing is, I think if you want... So I think that's where the wide receiver market is going. He's just as important to us as any ex-receiver in the league. I don't care about the position. I don't think he is either. And given how he sees respect and how
You've got to respect him in the deal.
You've got to respect him in
the
the deal.
That's why I think you guarantee him the money. Yeah. Because I don't need to give him bonuses. I don't need me to say to him, you've got to earn this bonus, because I know already that he works his ass off and he will earn it. Like, he does nothing but go out there and earn it. So I wouldn't insult him by offering bonuses. I would just say, look, you've got this big deal. Maybe it's 2 or 3 million below your market value, but we're giving you everything. We're not going to cut you after a few years and you're going to lose a lot of it. You're going to get every penny of that. Like, that's what I would do with him.
Yeah, so the 26 million, because obviously, I like added context. That'll put him in as currently based on right now. If we find out in 5 minutes it's signed in its exact terms, 26 million will roughly place him as the wide receiver 9 in terms of pay, above Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf.
Wide receiver 9 for wide receiver 3 production, and with the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And Justin Jefferson's about to get paid. CD Lamb's about to get paid. Like
Jamar Chase is eligible for an extension next year.
Yeah,
but I think the 26 is very reasonable.
I do.
26 really
I think it's very reasonable to guarantee that, because he'll be down to wide receiver.
What, in full?
Yeah. I would. I would guarantee him as well. I would guarantee him the vast majority of it, like 110,
First
whatever,
three years.
and be 90.
Okay. Here we go. The 2 deals then: 4 years, 106, which is 26.5 million, or 5 years, 125, 100 mil guaranteed.
Yeah, I do that. I do the 5 years.
I'll do the 5 years as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'll do 5
what would the 5-year one work out as AAV?
25.
25. That's why I
25
pitched
million.
it at that.
That would be wide receiver 10, just below Adams. Yeah. Either way, that's like it's peanuts. Give him whatever he wants. If he wants,
And these other
28
guys
mil.
above him probably haven't got that amount of guaranteed on the deals either.
Yeah,
He'll probably
so-
have one of the biggest guaranteed deals out
Yeah.
of all wide receivers.
So the ones above him is Keenan Allen, who honestly actually might be cut this off season, depending on who you ask. Because I know he wants to come back, but they're trying to rebuild. Mike Williams. Somehow the Chargers have 2 wide receivers with over 30 million cap hits this year. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, and Davante Adams. How many of those can you argue right now are better than Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Mm. And I think we're going to see a regression in the receiver contract market because with the amount of receivers that are flooding the draft at the minute, the young rookies, I think you're going to see a regression because Justin Jefferson's going to reset it because the Vikings are idiots and he is one of the best receivers like ever of our generation anyhow. But after that, I think he'll be a unicorn amongst the receivers for his contracts. I don't think anyone else, maybe outside of Chase, will get close. And I think you'll see the numbers will come down because teams will just go to the draft and they'll restock. Instead of paying 35, 40 million for a receiver, they'll go, right, I'll go draft one. So for him, it's great long-term longevity as well. Like it'll protect against any crash in the market.
I'm just trying to work out the numbers to make it work. Give me a second.
Hang on, it's cap hits. Let me have a look at where is it?
Okay, I think I've got it basically right. So the cap hit will change to $8.25 million in 2024 as he gets $35 million as a signing bonus. But he gets it all basically guaranteed, so he'll still get all the money. It's just it spreads out the cap hit a little bit more, makes it a bit more team friendly. I've tried to put in a void year as well, but over the cap doesn't like it. But basically, the cap numbers then go 28, 28, 28, 35, which I think is fine. Right, there we go. Done. Amon-Ra signed long term. Derek Barnes eligible for an extension, 1.25 million on the cap at the moment. I would ride that out personally.
Yeah, ride it out. See what you can do.
Broderick is who he is, and then we've got lots of people who are signing futures deals, and so there's not really much to talk about here, I don't think. I'm just having a look through now. That is everyone gone. So we've signed everyone we want to sign and bring back people for camp. We've cut everyone we want to cut, and we extend everyone we want to extend. There's the futures deals guys on there as well, so Chris Smith and Brandon Joseph that we talked about earlier. We have 66 players under contract, and the top 51 come in at $217 million. That means that we have $27.2 million of cap space under the top 51. If you had a look at 53, I think 53rd man gets about $1 million each. So we would have $25.2 million effective cap space moving forward. So when you're talking about the draft picks that we have, and the players that they replace on the roster, the cost of the Lions draft at the moment, if we stay where we are and have all the picks we have, and they replace a man on the roster at $1 million or roughly thereabouts, the cost of the Lions draft is $3 million. So we can take that cap number down to $22.2 million. That is the available room we have next year, with the extensions and the cuts and everything. So, what does that mean, boys, for the Lions in the off-season? How much room does that give us, really, to do some deals?
Not a lot.
I mean,
that's
it gives us room to do our plan, though. Like, we've got the money to extend our guys and keep drafting them.
Yeah.
And that's always been the end game with Holmes and this team. Just keep drafting well, and then that kind of sort of pays for itself in the long run. You've got a lot of talented rookies on rookie deals. That means you can pay more of your guys when they get to it, and then you can work around it. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything major. But again, we don't need to. Like in 3 years, we've gone from a bottom feeder to an NFC Championship team. This method, we've not needed to spend splash in free agency. We've not jumped the process. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll probably have it. You've got to flesh out your team a little bit through free agency, but I don't even think we'll see a Cam Light deal this year.
I think that we know that Holmes likes to keep about 7 to 10 million back for in-season moves. We've seen from this season, you need that space. You get injuries, you need to re-sign guys. Like, it absolutely happens. And if you have a look at all of the guys that we've had on this roster that have had void years on the back end to smooth out things a little bit, one I didn't mention, Emmanuel Mosley, $1 million. But you also had CJ GJ on there for 2, Charles Harris for 2, Romeo for 3.5, Hal Vaitai for 3.8. There are plenty of guys where we have pushed a little bit of money down the end. And I think there's plenty of room to do that here. If players become available and we can give them a 1-year, $6 million deal with with 2 of that hitting next year, and only have 4 in the coming year, I think that absolutely happens. So I could see from our $22 million, I could see 3 guys being signed for $6 million each, but 2 each of that goes into next year. And so we actually only end up having 4 each hit this year's cap. That's 12 million. It leaves us with 10. So if you're looking at a David Montgomery kind of signing $6 million a year, I think that's absolutely possible. But people who want to pay high-priced interior defensive linemen for $20 million a year, it ain't happening.
Madubuike. It's not happening.
Madubuike is going to get what? Similar money to what we were just discussing maybe for Amon-Ra? Maybe 20, 22, something in that range?
So, yeah, he's going to be a lot. Like, you can buy a high-price free agent this year, but you're going to have to backload the deal fairly substantially. And then that's going to run into your rookie deals that we're going to be dashing out here. That's the problem. But it's still in a healthy position to be in. I mean, like next year, we've got currently 1.4 million in dead cap. That's it. Brad's first year, it was 67.1. Like, you still can't believe that first year, the amount of dead money we had on this thing. Like, that's what he had to work with. And through his diligence and that, there's very little wasted money at the moment. There's not that much in restructures. There's only about 10 million. You know, Saints have that pretty much daily, the way they go about things. But I think we're in a good position with the cap. It's just, it's not going to be in the expensive, high-priced range that some people like to see us operate in, but gives us plenty of flexibility to do what we need to do.
It's going to be cast-offs, like guys that would try to trade
Mosley.
him and get cut. Like K.E. Elam, the Bills, they try to trade him, might cut him. That's the kind of corner Brad will go like, I'll give you $4 million for a year. High upside, good frame. That's the kind of deal I'd like to see. A young corner he's failed. But yeah, we'll give you a home, we'll try you out. I don't want to do Mosley. Like I say, I know people like it, but back-to-back ACL scares the life out of me. Just don't do it. I feel like they will do it, and that worries me. Please don't do it. That's the one I would like to avoid at all costs, because it's got more red flags than a vexillology contest. Just don't do it.
But yeah, Ryan's right. That'll be the deal. We'll get guys who've been hurt looking for a 1-year deal, or prove it guys, like guys who can't, like Gardner Johnson. He was after a prove it deal because Philly didn't want to pay him whatever. And the best part is we'll get the best of the bunch, I reckon. I reckon we're at the point now where guys will start taking pay cuts to come here, like free agents, even if it's just a year to try themselves out. So that's probably what we'll be looking at. I don't really know who's coming off injuries who fits that regard, but there's potential to be had. Brad has found a knack finding some of these guys in free agency cheap.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conundrum, and some of these decisions are so knife edge, and the implications of doing them and not doing them is massive because, in this scenario, we haven't re-signed Jonah, and we've got 22.2 million left. That's not a lot of money to try and re-sign him if we wanted to, and we've done everything else that we wanted to do. Now, maybe if you do re-sign Jonah, some of these other guys that you don't bring back, but I wouldn't say guys, that our depth is exactly fantastic in the situation right now, given all that we've done, and we've only got 22.2 million left. And yes, we will have a draft class to take advantage of, and hopefully that provides some of that depth. But bringing some veteran guys in, I mean, Brad Holmes talked about not competing in April and May, but competing in December and January. That was a big emphasis of it, is that he prioritised and sacrificed quality for depth, knowing that the depth would count in January. And I think that was quite telling. So maybe having this amount of cap space actually plays into his hands anyway, because he's not looking for expensive people. I actually read it exactly as you did in terms of no high-priced guys coming externally. I mean, one, we don't have the room, but two, he doesn't want it.
No, you build your cornerstones. Like, we have our cornerstone players through the draft now. We have quite a few. We probably have, when all is said and done, too many. Like, eventually we're going to lose one of these guys, but
maybe to a trade.
Exactly, that's the problem you want to have. So, and don't forget, free agencies. Brad has picked up a lot of guys. When guys start getting cut, camp time, preseason time, like Harris, we picked up then. Like, there are people to be had when rosters get cut. So who knows? And maybe trades happen. Like, a lot of things could happen there. Nothing would surprise me with him at the moment, but it will always first and foremost go through the draft. They will think, who can we get in the draft? What holes can we cover? Then we'll do everything that way. So,
my final bit on Jonah is, I think he'll fall foul of this being an exceptionally strong draft for guards. I don't know if anyone has actually considered that idea of we might actually gamble on the draft, because there seems to be so many good guards.
Is there?
Well, I think so.
I wouldn't say it's exceptionally strong. Like,
well,
the ones at the top are good, but there aren't that many of them.
I would say normally the interior offensive lineman seems to be pretty weak. So maybe that's just my perception of it being stronger than average. But sure. Okay. What we're going to do now is, we've had quite a lot of questions about expectations for next year, cat questions, other bits and pieces. We're going to take that on the post show. So if you're on the audio show right now and you want to listen to the extra time, come on to YouTube, or it'll be on Twitch as well for the replay. Come and have a listen to all the questions. Guys in the chat, if you have more questions, get them in, because I'm still racking them up in the chat. Most of them admittedly are by Mike the Marine, but absolutely love them for contributing big time on this. Right. People on the audio show, we're signing off right now. So the next show is going to be the Super Bowl review show, and we're going to be revealing the award nominations for the Royal Alliance 4th annual end of the season award show. So what we need is some suggestions for some of the award nominations. We're going to be putting out some posts on Twitter about who you think should be suggested in terms of nominations. There are also 2 fan votes that we do every year, which is Moment of the Year and Play of the Year. So we're going to need some suggestions. We're going to reveal who the nominations are, and we're going to discuss who the nominations should be during the show and decide on them there and then. And then the week after that will be the awards show. Black tie event, of course. And it's one of the better shows of the year, just to kind of look back at the season that was, and especially this year, the first season, I think, since we've been doing this show, that has been an unmitigated success. So, despite it feeling fairly sour now, thinking back at what's happened is going to be pretty sweet. So, that's our plan for the next few weeks. On the College Football Podcast, they're going to be having a look back at the Shrine and Senior Bowls. So, if you are draft-minded, and, I mean, considering what you've just listened to, if you're not, let's get on this train now. The boys are going to be talking about that, where there have been quite a lot of people to elevate their draft stock. So you're going to want to listen to those guys right there. That will be probably Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
All right. Otherwise, you can follow us on our socials on Royal Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the group for worldwide fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. On our TikTok, by the way, or our Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, I have said to Ash that, considering what Brad Holmes has said about taking accountability for your takes at the time, I've tasked Ash with taking the videos of our immediate reactions to our draft picks. And we're going to be posting them. and we will take accountability for our takes, good or bad. And I think that people will be pleasantly surprised at how many hits we had and how many good reactions we had to stuff. There's one player that we reacted badly to that I remember. But apart from that, I think it was pretty
I said
good.
Jameer Gibbs was the second best running back in the draft by a long distance.
I don't think it was that
I'm safe there.
I don't think it was that. It was the next pick, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Jack?
It was Jack, I think.
Hang on, I was a Diane Henley stan. That's why I didn't hate Jack. And actually, I went back and checked, and in my on my final season mock draft on the college show last year beforehand, Jack was in it, and I have recorded proof of that.
Okay,
yeah, I did not like trading up for Broderick Martin.
But you're thinking
you're
thinking very recent history, though. The pick we reacted to most badly has not been listed yet.
It was, you know what? I'm going to say it's Aleem.
Nope, Aleem was very positive.
Was it? It was one of the two.
Oh no!
What?
Was it the pick? Was it the pick why Joy? Was it my first ever podcast appearance pick?
I don't know. I can't.
That wasn't even a player for the Lions.
Yeah, but because it was that, and then right after it was Levi, and we're a bit like, what?
No, Levi's also not the guy I'm thinking of. It's Josh Pascal.
See, I liked.
Oh yeah, no, I
liked Josh Pascal.
I didn't.
But anyway,
you know, I'll hold my hands up to that. That's fine.
Anyway, if you want some entertainment, I do feel like the era of accountability is here, and we're going to take stock. And we've been doing this for enough time that we've actually been throughout the entire regime, and we can hold our hands up and say, we nailed this one and we didn't nail this one. Yeah. I think it's going to be a fun exercise, so look out for that anyway. Subscribe, rate us 5 stars. You guys know what to do. Boys, on to the Super Bowl, end of the season, and the most fun part of the season is still to come. Ash and Ryan, cheers, boys. Thanks to everyone for listening. Let's go, Lions, on Pride.
On Pride.
No means no, commanders.
Recording stopped.
Right.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Christ. Questions. Carlton on Discord says, in terms of second-year improvement and third-year improvement, we've seen quite a bit from the boys that we've already had. So going into the second year for Colby Sawsdell, Broderick Martin, Stephen Gilmore and Antoine Green, what are your expectations for them?
That they start to see the field more.
Yeah.
I think that developing into role players, like that would be my thing. I'd like to see Broderick develop into a role player. Antoine Green, yeah, I think that's basically the thing for all 4 of them. You want to see them become a contributor to the team and to carry on making that step up towards possibly being starters. I mean, like in Green's case, Broderick's case, and that's going to be hard to make starter, but you want to see them taking the path. Year 2 and then year 3, they become starters. That's how things should work with these guys. So, yeah, trust the process. Like we've seen now that some guys shine instantly in Holmes' classes and some guys take the full 3 years. So I've no worries about any of them. But yeah, become role players next year.
I don't expect anything from them, if I'm perfectly honest. They are long-term projects. I see them all as year 3 guys, really. If they can come in and do some bits and not look terrible, that's where I'm at with them. Frankly, for Green and Gilmore, I'm not sure I expect them to be on the roster day one this year. I don't think they make the 53, but we'll see. Sawsdell and Martin, I think, have to make the 53. If they don't, that's a big failure of them and the staff. But I don't expect either of them to be starters, and frankly, I don't really expect either of them to be rotational players either. They'll be borderline backup, inactive players who are still developing, because I just don't think they're close to being close at the moment. I hope I'm wrong, but I'd rather assume that's going to be the case and try and build like they're not there. And then if they become a bigger part of what's going on because they're too good to not play, then fantastic. And then all the questions, I think, from now on are from Mike. So if anyone else has any questions as well, I'd love to break up some questions from Mike with some from others, because he's otherwise just... This is a personal Q&A going on at this point. Mike says, you're the Lions GM for a day and you get to sign 2 free agents outside the building. each for $15 to $22 million a year. Who are they? So just ignore the caps a thing. You can go and get a high-priced free agent.
Jalen Johnson's one. Like, that solves our corner problem. And then...
Sorry, Joseph Austin said Dan Skipper, so I thought I'd report eligible.
I would pay Jalen Johnson for sure.
We're looking at a list.
I've got my two. Outside corner, Sneed, 18 million. Then the other 4 million, Sebastian Joseph Day at defensive tackle.
No, he said each. Not between the two of them, each.
Oh, each. Easy then. Ladarius Sneed, outside corner. And then the other one will be, I can't pronounce his name, but Justin M from the Ravens at DT.
Madabuike.
Yeah, Madabuike. There you go. I just don't want to butcher it. You know what I'm like? I can't pronounce English at the best of times. So I didn't want to murder it.
Yeah, you have to try and do college football names is hard enough. You get a rep.
Exactly. Those they would fit. Those two would just. I don't want to say fix our defense, but imagine the damage they would do with us.
Let's just bring in Willie Sneed and Jalen Johnson. It's like, right, okay, corner room sorted, done. There we go. Cam Sutton's cornerback 3, like Jerry Vildor. All of a sudden, your cornerback room gives you a slight bit of an erection, and there you go.
Or Josh Allen. I'll take Josh Allen from
the Jags one.
I was thinking along similar lines, but I was going to go Danielle Hunter.
Daniil.
Daniil.
Actually, no, scrap that. I take Brian Burns after a down year. I think.
Yes.
I think.
Well, actually, that's
me.
Josh Allen.
Could you imagine? Like shut everyone up and go, "Oh, you missed on Brian Burns." Screw. Yeah, no, we didn't. Yes. We got him eventually.
Give me a
the curse dies.
Chris Jones.
Give me a no. Also a shout. Do I do it for the? No, I'm doing it for the memes. Give me a sec.
But yeah.
Imagine if I do this and the top one's going to be someone we already have. I'll cry. Give me a sec.
See, I just love it if we could keep taking Chicago's best players off them and them succeeding here. It's like a even bigger middle finger to them.
Hell.
Do we reckon Fields has gone? Well, we're going on this tangent.
Not a free agent, though, is he? But yes, I do think he's gone.
This is just a general thing, not a free agent.
Yeah. Gone. Would you trade for him? Would you
see this unbiased me? I loved Justin in college. I was devastated when they got him. I would trade for him.
Okay, let me propose a trade. And the trade is Justin Fields for Hendon Hooker and a 4th.
Yes, I'd snap your hand off for that.
All right.
I would snap your hand off.
There's going to be a lot of angry people.
People know my stance on Hooker. Like, I'm unapologetic. I will let my receipts be flown out to me on that one. You don't trade back twice for a guy who's your future quarterback. I'm just saying. 3 times, sorry.
Right, next question. Mike the Marine still. Question for later. If you don't want to sign Goff to a big contract, so that is the premise of the question. You are not signing Goff to a contract extension. After Goff's contract finishes, would you gamble Hooker and surround him with talent like San Francisco? So, low-priced rookie contract quarterback and go all in with contracts around him. Would you look to replace Goff? Would you, if you know that you can't re-sign Goff, would you trade him now at the peak of his value?
Yes.
I think.
Is the question for when Goff's contract's up, or is it for now?
So I tried to qualify that, and he said either trade him away now or run the contract to the end of its deal and then go with Hooker. Is that so? Either.
If it's the end of his current deal, which is next year, then yes, I would risk it. I am not putting Hendon Hooker in a starter next year and surrounding him with talent. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. Like, we are at way too important a stage here. No. He needs at least 2 or 3 years been a backup till he's picked up everything he needs to know before he starts. For me, there's absolutely no way I'm putting him in this year. Not even as a backup.
All right, next question. Big paychecks for Sewell, 20 million plus, St Brown, 20 million plus, Goff, 47 million plus, Melifonwu, 10 million plus, which I question that. But anyway, McNeil, 20 million plus. See how crazy it gets how can you bring in CB1 in free agency? It is a quandary. I mean, even without doing all of those extensions and it hitting the cap this year, we're not struggling against the cap, but we don't have much maneuvering room. How do you do CB1, boys?
Easy.
Yeah. You go. Sorry, Ash.
I was going to say, you bring him in, let's say it's Sneed, 2-year deal, you draft someone day 3 who's got the developmental traits to be a CB1, and you develop them in. You don't do what we've had to do with rookie corners in the past couple of years and just drop him in day 1. You get to develop them, and then they can grow to be that CB1 for you. That way, you have a great CB1 for 2 years and a free agent deal. Then you get a good CB1 on 2 years on a rookie deal. Then you sign them to a big deal if you want to, or you just keep. Then you just do it that way. It doesn't, just because you sign a free agent deal doesn't mean you have to keep them around for ages. Plus, to be honest, with some of those, exactly, it could just be 1 year. Like, there is ways of doing it, and the way we seem to want to do stuff, we can do it. Like, we'll come on to it in a couple of weeks, probably when we really look at corners. But I can name 2. Maybe I'm biased towards them, but I can name quite a few day 3 corners who have traits to be CB1s if you develop them right and put them in the right systems.
Or if you would say we did get a cornerback 1 next year, and I think there's many cornerback 1s in this draft, bring back Mosley for 5 or 6 million for 1 year.
Whoa!
And then go.
Mosley's not even going to get. He's going to get vet min. He's not going to get more than that.
I say you bring a guy like Mosley back and you sit them behind a guy like Mosley for a year, and that's how you sort it. Because, the emergence of like Source and guys like that have just kind of reset expectations for. It's very difficult for young corners in this league, and everyone thinks you can land on a Source every year. You can't. But the easiest way to do it is to get a vet in for a year, and then have a guy sit, rotate snaps with him, learn everything he can, and then put him in there because it doesn't affect your cap in the long run. That's the best way to do it.
Source is such a
unicorn.
Yeah, I mean, there's only
Certain.
one. Yeah, I was about to say, Certain's the only other one who's come out of college and been that good. I mean, Devon Witherspoon's had a good rookie year, but he's not close to what Source did in his first year.
Stingley's been good. Stingley's been good, yeah. considering his injury concerns and that. He's
Absolutely.
been good, but you're not gonna get immediate gratification from a corner in the draft. But we've had to do it the hard way with lots of areas of this team. We've had to draft and put them as starters and wait for them to develop. And sometimes that's what you got to do. That's all it'll allow.
Give him 28 and give him next year's first. Trade for Patrick Surtain.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. Yeah, do that or just.
He's got to be for sale. I imagine they've gone and take a lot of offers for him.
But I mean, they are about that because apparently the Denver really want to trade up for number 1, don't they? So they're going to need assets to do that.
He's going to be packaged up in it. Any trade up, Surtain's going to go the other way.
Actually, going to make me sick to my stomach. As long as the Bears don't get him,
Bears
will give you Surtain and 2 first. Yeah, and two extra first round picks from the Broncos. That would be ultimate nightmare territory, and then keeping Fields. But if they want weaponry to go after the number 1 pick, they're going to need picks. They're going to have to sell some of those players to go out and get Caleb Williams. So
ideally for me, if we're taking a corner in the first, I can't wait till 28. I'm jumping 8, 10 places up. I'm negotiating.
I don't know who fits their mold yet. I'm getting there, but I don't know. It depends on who they like. Because again, there's 15 corners that could go in the first round. Like, as many as, potentially. So it just depends who they like.
I will say, by the way, and lots of people have made the point, how do you sign all of the guys we're due to sign in the next couple of years? And the hard answer and the unpopular answer, Ryan said some of the things are, some of the moves might be unpopular. The answer is that for someone who has absolutely earned the right to stay here, who should get all the money in the world and be re-signed, will be retraded for the house. Like, someone will chuck the absolute house at someone, and you'll have to accept it so that you don't have to pay them.
Yeah,
And it'll be super unpopular.
Yeah, and as you kind of said in the YouTube chat, also, it's not like you have to specifically, you get my words out, go up in terms of cap. You can do it to the salaries and that. People have their high salary peak, a different year in their contracts. You can do stuff like with that as well, just to cap maneuver it. Trust me, because obviously Brad's good at it, but everyone kind of like we've got. As soon as I want to talk about them, their names escape me. The guy who got the interview for the Panthers GM job this year and then declined it, and then the guy we got from USC last season. Those two are just Disner. One, and then who's the guy we got from Sosner? Brandon Sosner. Disner and Sosner, they're magicians with the cap. Look, they can do it.
Yeah. I just think you spread it out and then you have a tough decision. And some of the tough decisions might be, we can't afford to pay Hutch and Penne and Amon-Ra and Goff. And one of them has to go.
That's what good teams will do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, developing those assets so that you can reinvest to not screw yourself money-wise is one of the hard parts of doing it, but you've got to do it. Or you can just do what Mickey Loomis does, and you can destroy a team's future and just keep chucking it down the way every year until you end up with a crap team who are, perennially rubbish because they could never get out of cap hell and they have to keep doing everything they can just to stay afloat. You can do that.
That scenario, Matt, do you trade Hutch?
That is what I'm alluding to, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Hutchinson for something like 3 first-round picks is going to be on the table come a year and a half, 2 years from now.
See, I think it's easier to find it. It's easier to find edge. If you had to put Sewell or Hutch on the table, I think 100% of people have put Hutch on the table. Like, no one's putting Penny Sewell on the table.
Muxferiment just said, in that scenario, I trade Amon-Ra. If you had to trade one of Sewell, Amon-Ra, and Hutch, which would you do?
I'd trade Hutch still. For me, Amon-Ra, he supersedes a player. He is like the embodiment of what your entire regime is built upon.
I would say, frankly, I think that about all 3 of them, though. You think about how Hutch conducts himself.
I do.
He's a gentleman, and he's an absolute grinder.
And he's a Wolverine. He's a
3 of them
guy.
exactly epitomise what we want to be as a team. And if you talk about whose production impacts us the most, I don't know what the answer to that question is, because Hutch was.
I don't think you trade any of them. You can pay those 3 and just tell everyone else to go off. Like, you've got your cornerstones. You can just build around your cornerstones.
But I guess the problem there is, though, if you pay all 4 of them, you're getting towards a sort of Rams-style organisation where you're basically having a team of vet mins and UDFAs and draft picks, which you may have traded away, and you have like 6 or 7 paid stars, and that's it.
Yeah, but the Rams traded away all their draft picks. Like, we've got ours. They traded for talent. We build ours in-house. Like, not much of their star talent came through the draft. Like, they paid for a lot of guys through the draft. Through draft picks, sorry. We're not in that situation. Besides, in this situation, Goff's gone before any of those 3 are.
Yeah.
So you
right.
reset around a rookie quarterback. So, like, those are the 3 you can't touch any of them. Those 3 have to be Lions for life. You can't touch them.
We have annoyed people.
This is all hypothetical.
This is
all hypothetical.
But the thing is, it's hypothetical, but it's somewhat realistic. Like, we've had so much success with our draft picks that we have an uncomfortable problem.
Not until
for another year and a half, 2 years.
Not until the draft class just gone are due to get paid. Because we're forgetting, in this time frame, Decker's deal's up soon. Ragnar's deal's probably up by then. Like, we don't have that many massive earners on this team right now. And what we're also forgetting is the cap is going to absolutely explode. Like the cap's going up 20 million a year at this moment in time. In 3 years' time, when we're having this issue, the cap's probably going to be somewhere at $300 million. Like you can make a good team with several good cornerstones out of $300 million, providing you're not spunked it all on cap and restructures and stuff like that. Like the draft, the cap is going to get to a point where it's almost going to be hard to be in financial trouble. So that's got to be taken into consideration as well.
It's true.
Hypothetical land will never come to be. Those three will never be touched, ever.
I hope you're right. Mike the Marine also asked, what player... Oh no, we've basically touched on that. What cost would you pay Mosley to sign him? I am Vetmin and I do not want to pay him any more than that. 2 ACLs in 2 years, you don't get more than Vetmin because people aren't going to gamble on your health. They'll assume that you won't play a snap.
I don't know. I'd incentivize him. I'd get it to 3 or 4 million with incentives. Because I think you will get that level of production out. If he's even half the player he was before the injuries, you will get that value of production out of him. And you will get an invaluable mentor for your draft pick. Or likely, maybe draft pick. Who knows?
The other good thing is, I suppose, technically, he has no leverage.
Exactly. He's not going to be able to bend you over a barrel.
Turn down any offers, or he won't be in the league next year. If he
that's why I said. That's why I say I think you go a bit quid pro quo with him. We're like, well, you've got no leverage, but we will give you an opportunity to earn some good money this year.
Just 2 million front, you can earn 2 million.
Yeah,
and I think fair enough, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that shows respect towards the player. It's giving him opportunity, and it entices the player to come play for you. And if we get to the NFC Championship game again and further, it's a perfect stage for him for next year to go, I want all the money in the world, and we'll go, see you, bye. Another team will have you. Thanks very much. It's a win-win.
Carlton Woods made a very good point, which is that Ragnar will be retired at some point in the next 3 years. His cap hits in the next 3 years, 12.8, 14 and 16.35. And frankly, centre's a really important position, but the average centre's getting paid, what, 4? 4.5, 5? Like, they're not an expensive position.
No, and that's the thing. You've got to look. A lot of these big... Decker's contract will be off the books in a couple of years.
I think we'll re-sign him personally, but...
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to go for any higher than what he's earning now.
No, I agree with that.
I think he's going to be... That contract is not going to be so high. So you've got that. I mean, who else is on a big deal here at the minute? Tracy's contract's not going to be there because the dead money will have washed out by then. You're not going to actually have many uber big contracts on your books. It just depends about Goff, really. Like, how big is his contract going to be? But in the grand scheme of things, we're not going to have many people making like 10 million plus by the time all these deals come into effect and around. So there is no reason that we can't pay everyone if staggered correctly, at least for now. If he knocks it out the park again this year, then yeah, we're really going to be in trouble down the stretch. But that's a problem for another day.
It's a great problem because at the end of the day, we have the player or we have the picks as long as we don't let them leave for nothing. So... by drafting well, we've got ourselves in a great spot because then with the extra capital, we can go and get the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Go and get a quarterback. Ooh. And then we re-up, and then Goff goes and gets traded for a first plus, and then we continue to invest talent around the number 1 quarterback. And there's so much that can be done if you draft well.
And yeah, exactly. And you're not even, well, don't know if you already mentioned it, compensatory picks as well. I know obviously they're low-level picks, but they're useful. Look what we did with, I know Brad brought it up, Iffy was a compensatory pick. Kirby, I think, was picked to the second compensatory pick we got from the Rams. You can get
if it was part of the staff.
Yeah, he was. He was you've got 2 comp picks. I think wasn't. We definitely got at least 1 comp pick, which is Iffy. So it was definitely Iffy then. And I think we traded down into the comp pick area for Kirby, where we got Kirby. Those are 2 decent level start safety. Obviously, safety is a bit of a weaker position in terms of positional value and all that, but you can play the comp. We can still play that's something we haven't explored with Brad, is him playing the comp pick sort of formula and seeing what we can get out of that, because good teams exploit that. Look at the Ravens. They usually get a couple every year. The 49ers do. There is value to be had there as well.
We have one more question, and since Ryan has turned off his camera, I don't actually know if he's gone. But Anne, I'll direct this at you. Mike asks, what's your opinion of the cornerback TJ Tampa?
Love him.
Honestly, I can't say right now because he's not been on. I've not gone through him yet properly.
I
There's
can
like,
hear,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say I can hear that Ryan is still here. So did you have any opinion, Ryan?
I absolutely love him. He's a round 2 corner, fringe round first. He's got the
Wow.
size that a lot of guys don't have, physicality, ball skills. He was an absolute stud at Iowa State this year. I put him in a mock draft halfway through the season. I reckon he's gone within the side like 45 picks.
Yeah.
There you go.
6'4". He's 6'4", 205, 2 picks, 10 passes defended this
6'4".
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's big, which obviously I know, and I'm going to sort of down it a bit with us. It seems we have a type at corner, and it's players that are around 5'11", 6'1". We don't like big, massive corners. But if we're going to go up against DK Metcalves and that, we need someone who's a big opposing force at corner. So, I mean, yeah, he's got those. Like I said, Rice summed it up pretty much better than I could. He's definitely on my radar for it. I've got other corners I have in that range, but TVA Jumper's definitely on the list to look at.
Well, as I said in the chat, there are literally about 15 corners that could go in the first round. Like the place is absolutely stacked with talent this year. So yeah, I've just not had a chance to get round to him yet. There's so many corners. There's so many good ones. It's gonna be hard to miss this year.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of cornerbacks and in terms of tackles, there's so many of them. I wouldn't be surprised if they're our first 2 picks, tackle and cornerback.
They'll be the 2 most taken things in the first round. Tackles and cornerbacks will make up the most of the first round.
There's enough wide receivers to make a run for your money, I think.
No. Well, it depends on team preference, but offensive line, I don't think you're going to see as much trading this year because I think people around the league have bad offensive lines, and this year they're going to be desperate to get their tackles and that. So I think a lot of teams are going to stay pat for tackles.
Right,
guys, I'm going to do.
All right.
I'll
Cheers,
see you
Ryan.
Wednesday, Ryan.
All right, guys, bye.
So in terms of wide receivers, in those who could go in the first round, Marvin Harrison, I think, obviously has to be a lock. Neighbours has to be a lock. Odunze has to be a lock. And then you're getting into Keon Coleman, who I've seen slip in boards down to like the late first round, but I think he's probably going to be a first rounder.
Dare I say it? And I'm the guy round 2.
All right.
I've seen some of the analytics don't back him this year, but he's got youth on his side. That's his big thing. So I'll be happy with him if we get him. Whoever gets him late first, early second will be a happy bunny.
There'll not be more than 3 receivers in round 1. Like that there won't be. Not unless someone absolutely lights the combine up and the Pajama Warriors come out in force.
True.
But even then, I can't think of many candidates off the top of my head.
The other guys in the conversation, Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, who per Pro Football Network is 26, but I think in my average board he's at about 15. So he's getting a lot of love. The rest of the guys on Pro Football Network's board, Adonai Mitchell from Texas, I don't think he'll be a first rounder personally. Xavier Legette, he's not going to be a first rounder, I don't think. Lad McConkey might force his way in, but probably not.
Xavier Legette is the one who gets mocked in the first a lot, but he's got 1 year of production and that's it. That's going to have to be a very specific team who likes him.
Other guys around here: Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, Malachi Corley, Jalen Polk, Devontae Walker, Roman Wilson. No one there, I think, actually gets in, really.
And that's what I mean. You've got double-digit corners who could be first rounders. You've got 3 wide receivers who could be first rounders. There's going to be a lot of representation at corner and a lot of representation at tackle. The only other question would be quarterbacks. Do Nix and Penix get first round love? That would be the only thing that might twist it. And my honest answer is no.
Dave, I've seen wide range of landing spots in terms of draft pick for them, ranging from top 10 to end of day 2.
Yeah.
My prediction is that Nix will be the late day 1 quarterback and Penix will be a late day 2 quarterback. That's what I think. I know people are going to hate that considering what Penix did in college, but I don't care.
He basically was at Ohio State for a year with all those receivers and the low line he had. So,
Brent DeWitt has sent in a super chat for $10 and has said, "Great show. Hope I'm awake post surgery on Wednesday. Good luck to you, Brent. I don't know what that's for, but good luck nonetheless. Hope it goes well. Be well." Yes. Mike the Marine also has another question. It says, round 1 best player available, and round 2 trade up with our extra 3rd round pick. Who's your prospect in the top 40? So I'm assuming you're saying top of round 2 as opposed to late round 1. So who do you like in that sort of range? Such specialized questions. I love it.
So many people.
Do I need to give mine?
Yes.
You should all know mine by now.
Just give it anyway.
So hang on. What was it? First round pick?
No, so if you go BPA in round 1 and we trade up in round 2 to that sort of first 8 picks of round 2 range, who might we be trading up for in that scenario?
Let me just look at your board because I want to check if. Well, we will know Christian Haynes is.
Well, no, that's who I'd trade up for, not who would the Lions trade up for.
Exactly.
The Lions wouldn't trade up for a guard. I'd trade up for Christian Haynes in a heartbeat. But
fair same. So
I think you would be trading up for. In fairness, I think the trade up will be in the first round, and then BPA will be round 2. You know what? I'm going to stick my. If Jose Newton is there from 15 onwards, I would trade a lot of draft picks to get him on this team. And I think Brad Holmes would trade a lot of draft picks to get him on this team. The guy is a game-wrecking game changer. Like, you have to do that. And why am I not allowed to hear things that have been said in the NFL draft chat, Ash? What was that all about?
Someone put in there that KAD could slip to the end of the 4th. And I know that you are of the opinion he's a
Riston says he's a round 3 pick. I've already got my enemies here, so I don't care.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I stand on my draft rank. You know what? Yeah. I stand on my draft things. I'm pretty good at this. So
so the guy I trade up for in the first round is someone that I know Matt likes as well.
Sorry, Ant, can you just repeat who you said? Because there's a few people who said they didn't hear the name.
Oh, I'd trade up for Christian Haynes. Or are we talking Jose? In the first round...
Jose Newton.
Jose Newton. Did I say Martin again? Are
no.
they taking the mick out of that? I would trade for Jose Newton in round 1 because he is the explosive interior DT that we need. Seriously, him and McNeil in 2 years' time will be the best tandem in the NFL. Or it'll be Christian Haynes in round 2 because we need a guard and he is one bad mofo. Don't know if you saw the thing at the Senior Bowl where he told the guy to go back to church because he couldn't hang with him, but it was like, boy, that man got it. Like,
it was Jordan Jefferson, the Arizona DT.
Yeah, for me, he said you can't hang, so go back to church.
It caused a fight. So the person I trade up for, and it's someone that I know Matt likes as well, and it's someone again played really well at the Senior Bowl. Quinion Mitchell from Toledo. That dude
is not available in that spot.
I can see him being there around 15. If he's in there 15, 20, Ant says with Newton, I'm trading up for him, and then you've got round 2. Day 2. I can't say sweat because the whole weight thing. Dare I do it? Dare I be a homer? It'll be a late. I'm saying that we might have to use our second round pick to go up. So round 3, Johnny Wilson, wide receiver, Florida State, solve the X receiver problem.
You had to do
that, dude. That dude. I know Pajama Olympics and that. He is going to show why he is such a unicorn. Imagine what Cole Pitts was at tight end, but at wide receiver, he's like 6'4", 6'5". But can run really fast. Like, he got underused this year because we had Keon and Jordan Travis's deep back actually fell off. But that dude can ball. Just look at 2022 tape for him when he was our wide receiver 1. like nearly 1,000 yards, loads of touchdowns. That dude could do the Josh Reynolds for us.
Who are we trading up for? We are trading up for a tackle that falls. I am going to go for... And I feel like this is going to feel a bit weird considering he had a really good Senior Bowl. Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma.
I can see he's got some character concerns.
See, my sickos thing, Talie's Fuaga will be the best for us.
Well, yes.
Like,
but
he's not getting past the Jets.
He's a run-blocking phenom. Like, the guy... You think Penei Sewell clears out running lanes? I mean, hell, wait till you see this guy. That would be the sick thing. But, of course, I'm not drafting a starting right tackle because we don't need one.
Right. And he's not making, as I keep saying, it's rumors, and it might just be scope screen back, but there is a lot of smoke currently coming between the Jets being absolutely in love with him.
I mean, so he's the 10th guy on the consensus board. He's number 10.
He's not. He's what? As in, like, overall, like the number 10 pick.
Overall number 10 pick.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of love.
He's getting a lot of love. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, I'm passing JPJ. Let's not get on this train, please.
If JPJ was available at 29, I would pull the trigger.
I'll take him. So,
oh, if he's there, then yeah, but I'm not trading for him.
I'm not trading for him either.
He'd be on the list.
Just despite the Vikings as well, because we all know they need a centre.
Okay. I've not done any first round mock drafts this year. I need to have a look.
Oh.
I'm usually good at guessing the Steelers and the Vikings. Oh, and the Jets.
Yeah.
Steelers, Vikings, and Jets. I can always fathom them out pretty easily. The
Steelers have to be JPJ. Have to be.
Mike Tomlin's in love with him.
Who is
they
he?
need offensive line in general.
Mm-hmm.
He fits the mold of one of their players. I know that much.
McSperiment says, did you watch Quinion Mitchell's tape? Ash, he makes no attempt to tackle. He plays lazy as hell if the play's not in his direction, says McSperiment. He's a top 10 pick, McSperiment. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we can coach him on tackling. It's for me right now. You look at our corners; they can tackle very well, all very well and good. They can't cover for fucking shit.
Quignon's alleviated some concerns because he looked really good at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
like his level of competition is the big red flag on him.
Yeah,
rightfully, justifiably so. But he's looked good this week.
Exactly.
So
and even then, I'm an advocate for day 3 corner. There's I was looking through. There's quite a few on mock draft database who do like consensus boards. There's quite a few. Again, yes, 2 of them are Florida State ones, but there's quite a few like day 3 corners I like the look of.
Well, according to Brett, Abrams-Drain's going to be there, so you know.
So exactly, it's another person on the list.
No fucking chance. No chance.
Do we have any other questions?
Carlton asked the one on Discord about edge rushers.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know. I don't have.
It goes, is size/type a major factor on defensive end we draft? Like, do we care about their size and their look?
Yes.
See, this is the very intriguing thing because I've seen you starting to get very enamored with Darius Robinson, and because he's the DT turned edge because he's got the body of a DN, sorry, and he's proven he can be very disruptive there. But it's 1 year production you're going on. Are you going to go on the body or are you going to go on the production? Like if you offered him or you were offered Javon Solomon, who doesn't have the body of an edge rusher, but he has everything in the book, got the pass rushing arsenal, he's got everything you need, he's undersized, who do you take? And that says a lot about somebody. You're going to take the inexperienced Power 5 guy who's got the frame, or you're going to take the highly experienced Group of 5 guy who's got everything you want but just doesn't have the frame.
I'm always going to be taking the Group of 5 guy who's shown production, and I'll take a swing on that production translating rather than a toolsy guy who's never shown it. Always.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. So to answer the question is, yes, it does matter, but I like production. Like this was the thing with Adetom Ewa last year. Like he'd not had the production at Northwestern, and then he had sort of a semi-good last year, and then he blew up the pajama games, and everyone fell in love with him, and he's going to be the next best thing, yada yada yada. You've not heard his name this year, like one bit, and he got taken pretty high.
He last time I looked, he was the lowest graded rookie defender by PF.
Exactly.
Of all defensive positions.
Exactly. And he got good metrics. Like, he got good RAS and stuff like that, but he's not had the production. And so, again, when it comes to a pass rusher, do they have pass rush moves? Because then the size doesn't matter. Like, that's the thing. Then the size doesn't matter because they can win, because they've got the moves to do so. They understand leverage, you're able to win quick, you got a big first step. Then that's all that matters, really. So for me, no, I don't really care about the build. Just so long as they're not like 220 pounds and 5'8".
All right. Can't coach attitude, Ash, not a Campbell guy. I do actually agree somewhat with Carlton in that. So I think that refers to Quignon and tackling. And me and Ant were talking about this actually a few days ago. Tackling is a mentality rather than a coaching thing, I think, and like you kind of have it or you don't. So I do think that people do improve from year to year, and there's just that sort of natural inertia where people do get better with technique because it's the technique that's fading. But more often than not, I do think it is just attitude, and you have it or you don't. So
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, because for me, yes, like it's all well and good being tackling, but as I keep saying, the reason I like Quignon is because he can cover, and right now that's what I'm looking for. We've had corners who can tackle well, and they just can't cover, and that's the whole point of a cornerback, is to cover. Especially if we're doing this thing where we're going to be leaving them 1-on-1 against Justin Jefferson twice a season. They're going to be against DJ Moore twice a season. They're going against potentially Christian Watson or Jaden Reed, whoever becomes the Packers wide receiver one, because they've got some really damn good young ones twice a season. We're going up against these first place schedules with really damn good receivers. We're going to need corners who can cover, because it's all well and good them being able to tackle well and stop screens, but if they let us up 150 yards every game, we're not going to be winning as many games as we did this season, to be honest.
Yeah, they can't even tackle on here at the minute anyhow. I mean, as far as some random English guy who does this thinks.
Respectable guy who's hitting a lot of his takes. Sorry.
Exactly.
Thank you. Missed tackles, for me, mean a lot at different positions. Like, I can accept a higher missed tackle rate from DBs compared to DTs. Like, it is absolutely unforgivable if you're a defensive tackle that you've got a rate of 20% or more missed. That is your job. Your job is to stuff running lanes, to get at running backs, and to bring them down. That is your entire game. And even if you're pass rushing guys, get to the quarterback and tackle him. Like, the love around Leonard Taylor this year is stupid. 30% missed tackle rate, and he's one of the biggest DT prospects in the drafts. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, you can't be doing that. You've not produced in college. Like, you shouldn't be anywhere near the first round. If you are a cornerback with like a 20% mistake, I can buy that. One, because it's a lot harder. You're having to make open field tackles. You are having to come down against, these big, bulky ass running backs who sometimes it's a bit hard to bring. It's going to be an issue, but you can weed it out of them. As Ash says, primarily it's not their job. Their job is to stop stuff coming through the air and to keep that locked down. You teach the run defense stuff afterwards. So for me, missed tackle, it depends on position, but I don't mind as much with the DBs. I want him to cover first and foremost. I want him to be in the air, know where the ball is, and make plays. That's what you got to be able to do. Trust your run defense after that.
Right, I think we'll kill this here, because the thing is, I think this is going to happen every episode now between here and the draft, and I am here for it. But we've been live for just now, it's ticks over 3 hours. So we'll call this one here. We can promise you some excellent draft content all the way up to the draft. Me and Ant were spitballing some new stuff for us. Maybe not new stuff out there, but new stuff for us. If you've got any other content ideas, that would be really great to hear. In fact, one thing we didn't even discuss was the idea of doing some sort of fan-led show, which I kind of like the idea of. Maybe more as a summer thing, but maybe pre-draft to talk about takes. I don't know, but that could be a thing. We need to put our heads together and really think about what we're going to do. I know we've scheduled every show, but in terms of other bits and pieces, there we go. Anyway, Joseph Austin says, I want to thank ROTL for the great content in the last couple of seasons. Enjoy your knowledge and love of our Lions. And Mike the Marine, highlighting the message on Twitch, says, brilliant show. You're excited about the draft and what Brad can do. So excited. Can't wait. I mean, it sucks that we didn't get to the Super Bowl, but the draft comes around every year and it's always got some excitement. And the great thing about the NFL is it is 24/7. I mean, well, the only thing is kind of between the draft and OTAs, where there's like a bit of a dead period. But bar that, it's an all year round thing. Even though the break is like 7 months long, it's great.
I'm like Brad. I'm just excited at the thought of not picking top 10 is exciting because it's harder, but that's the whole fun of it.
Yeah. We've gone from playing on rookie mode to now we're on at least like Pro Bowl level now. Maybe
it's like who the hell, 29 positional value stops becoming a thing. Even for guys like Brad, so it's just like, ooh, we don't know who. But it's just this is
Jonathan Brooks.
I can categorically tell you there is going to be no running back in round 1 this year at all.
Harris, with the pick 29, the line select.
Not Harrison Mevis.
I know. I said Will Roycard out of that.
Oh, right. Oh, you got to at least pick the thicker kicker if you're going to do that. You can't pick.
Because I picked him because I knew you'd think I was going to say Mevis.
Right, yeah. You know what? I like them both. I like them both. Not going to lie. I watched the draft a kicker. I do.
Rijkaard, the number 2 kicker in the draft.
Thicker kicker should be first.
Mevis is the number 1, apparently, according to the consensus grade, but he's not the number 1 PFF kicker in the draft.
Yeah, you were talking about this the other day. It's the Stanford guy, isn't it?
Yeah. Joshua Carty. Just saying. He's got a 95 grade last year on field goals. Sign. Mike says, thanks, I love this show. They're knowledgeable by research, not by listening to others. I think I would say on that I think we bridge a gap between those two things. So I will say that I rely a little bit more on listening to a lot of knowledgeable people and people that I respect and do my own thing and merge those two.
Yeah,
I think Ash would probably say the same. I think Ant would not say that. I think Ant basically relies on his own eyes. But
I don't have time to listen to other podcasts. I would, but I don't. So I just
we balance each other out, though. That's the whole thing. So
Exactly. I wear my heart on my. I'm the heart on the sleeve guy who's got no rationale, no reason. I just believe what I believe because I believe it.
And
I
at the
like
end
that
of the
about
day, you have some really big hits and some minor misses in that method. I wouldn't even say you have any big misses potentially, really, but the track record you have with day 2, day 3 picks specifically for the Lions is super impressive. I think
I just like, if you're going to do this draft stuff, I figure don't be like anyone else. Just be you. Otherwise, I just listen to what Riz said all the time because Riz generally knows more because he gets inside info.
Yeah,
I don't.
Well, case in point to that, I remember day 3 of the first of 2021 draft, wasn't it? Whatever the first one of Brad Holmes. Day 3 comes up and we say discuss the line back, and you just said, "Watch out for Malcolm Rodriguez," and look what happened.
And hopefully he's still here. Hopefully he's going to work out. But
I mean, he's going to be the new Jalen Reeves-Maybin, but Ant is actually going to want him here, and that's just a beautiful thing.
That's unfair. I said I'd bring Jalen Reeves-Maybin back this time.
I know.
And I think I was justified in us getting rid of him first time for that price bracket, and I think I'm justified in saying we can keep him now.
I do think that the idea that he's a special teamer first and has some good players on defense, and the fact that you're willing to bring him back is an amazing sign.
I think he's, you know what? I think because he's shown legitimate value to the first team. And that's all I want. I want you to be able to show legitimate value to the first team. And then I don't, great.
You don't care.
I just don't like core special teamers who don't do anything on the first team. Even if you only do a little bit. That's I feel like too high strung up sometimes with this. I hate special. I don't. I love special teams, but
we do it to wind you up.
I know you do. You've just special teamers are there to be the guys of the future, and he could be now. So I love,
Right.
Go
Anyway,
JRM. Well done.
let's sign off. I'll fix my flag for that show. So that's been up there for months now. It's really annoying. Anyway, we'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.